You're melting in Portland.
All right, we about ready to get started?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Do
All
it.
right. Sadly, we are without Bailey tonight. The role of Bailey will be played by me. So, if you would like to request your money back, you can't. You didn't pay anything. Exactly. So, last session, after returning to the city and helping Timu keep a low profile, you all interrogated the prisoner that you captured from the fight in the woods. He claims to be a part of the Rhymefang Syndicate, a criminal underground based out of Nevis that has been taken over by a white dragon named Rhymefang. He spoke of the immense power of the dragon, her desire for devotion and riches, and as well as some stories about the seemingly terrible power that she possesses. Timu, you all, and in fact the entire city of Galita, are now in her sights for capturing and killing one of her children, the young white dragon that you all defeated in the fighting pit. Additional research in the city yielded some answers on dragons and their mythological history in Cessor Doom. And Ziggy found the pocket dimension where the Academy faculty were storing the research into Professor Mons's work. And you discovered that there was some theory about the stars being what he called celestial tethers, holding the various dimensional planes together, and that they could potentially be tapped into for great power. Retiring for the evening, Whirl found herself paralyzed by contact poison left on her doorknob, and while incapacitated, she was attacked by an unknown person who seemed to carve up her arms and stabbed her in her side, leaving her with the message, "The network doesn't forget, and it doesn't forgive," before making a quick escape. Leaving the city the next day, you all made your way east towards Mount Helionna in search of a Fey portal that supposedly existed somewhere on the mountain. Exploring the area, you found what appeared to be some sort of hot spring with steam rising from a small pool of water and a waterfall that fed into it. But the area was occupied by a group of soldiers who were apparently alerted to your presence by some sort of alarm spell. As they noticed you all there, they ordered you all to halt by the order of the Lopidian Company. And I believe that is where we left off. There was an order, and they seem to have kind of been noticed of your presence and sort of moving in your direction.
I kill them. They die. What's next?
That's it.
Well,
You
that's
won.
a nifty little power. That's a nifty little skill.
End of D&D.
Power.
You don't have the power of the stars yet, Ziggy.
Power word kill.
Don't you dare.
Shatter, go? Just kidding.
Oh fuck! Shatter go.
Blanche.
So they're coming towards us?
Yeah, so you're a little ways away still. They seem to have set an alarm spell up around the perimeter. You give yourself maybe a couple 100 feet to where they are.
Do they
They're
see us?
shouting in the direction. Huh?
Do they like have line of sight on us?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like through the trees and things, but there's a little bit of a path that seems to have been walked probably by them getting there at some point. And they're kind of like headed down there. It's definitely like you can see them in the distance. But
Is that yours gonna sidestep like kind of like to put like a tree between him and the company and cast invisibility?
okay.
Question, DM.
Yes.
Would I know? I guess question like Mount Helionna. Where, like, is it technically within Lopidium jurisdiction? Like, whose land are we essentially in? Like, basically, what I'm trying to figure out is, would Kami's trying to gauge whether or not these soldiers have the jurisdiction to be stopping us as if this is their territory to man.
Mount Helionna doesn't necessarily sit within any jurisdiction. It's certainly well outside the typical borders of Lopidium, and it would be strange that they are this far outside, especially within, in such a random place, right? It's definitely abnormal. They don't necessarily have the they couldn't arrest you here for trespassing on Lepidium territory.
Okay.
It seems more like they're guarding something or looking for something. That's no reason they'd be out here, basically.
Okay.
Actually, just real quick, Zaire, give me a stealth check with advantage.
That's a 22.
Okay. Whirl is also going to kind of flit up towards one of the trees and try and just kind of blend in up there. And she rolled a 26 for her stealth check. So you and her both kind of disappear before anybody gets up there. And you're left with Kami, Maeve, and Ziggy sort of in sight of them as they're not rushing towards you, charging with their spears up or anything like that. But they do seem to be walking in your direction.
Kami's gonna kind of raise his... Sorry.
Oh, I was just say I have a general procedural question. But for every time I would cast invisibility, do I typically roll a stealth check as well?
No, I just assumed you were also trying to hide.
Okay, sounds good.
So are they going to see you disappearing and stepping behind the tree type of thing?
Right.
Got
it.
Mm-hmm.
And based on that, they did not. You imagine. Go ahead, Kami.
I was just saying, Kami's gonna come out. He's gonna hold his ground, but he's gonna kind of raise his arms, all right, that's we mean you no harm. We see you have set up camp here. We're just passing through. No trouble.
As sort of the front group approaches the three of you, one of them just kind of steps up and just kind of motions for you to kind of, you can put your arms down type of thing. And he steps forward and he looks towards you as you're the one that kind of spoke up first. And he says, don't mean to threaten you or anything like that. We just strange that you'd find your way up here in the mountain. Can we ask what it is you're looking for up here?
Well, we had a similar inquiry ourselves. You are a long way from Lupidium.
Yes. Well, if you're here,
Did you also come to seek the beautiful vistas of Mount Helionna as a company?
He kind of looks to the two that followed him out towards you guys. Says, well, if you are up here, I'm assuming you know what lies behind us.
You are looking for the Fate Portal.
We found it, and we're under orders. Anybody who comes looking for it, we are to bring to the Counselor Labrie, on the outskirts of Lepidium.
Oh, so far away.
For some inquiry.
How about
Well,
no?
Then it's a good thing, I push Ziggy, good thing that we were just, my friends and I, going to summit Mount Helionna. You can see all the gear that we have. We are just on an expedition of our own.
Just
Thank
like,
you. Good day, sir.
Make a deception check with disadvantage.
I love the charisma +0 character pushing the charisma +3 character to the side to
She's
talk.
close on confidence. It's the confidence,
Oh, and this confidence rolled me a nat 1.
We have been so bad with that one this campaign.
He looks at you and obviously not buying your story. He says, yes. Well, you see, there appears to be some dangers around the portals, both on this side and the other. And we are here to prevent any from crossing one way or the other.
Sure.
And also to keep an eye out for any who are seeking the portal itself. It seems any who may have information regarding the portals or the Feywild, Labrie was hoping to speak with them.
I think the key word there is hope, my dude. Like, you have no say in what we do here. This is way outside your city up there.
Yes, well, of course, this is not Lepidium territory.
Cool. So it's more of a request than a demand, my dude.
You are free to leave as well. We can't let you cross the portal, though.
Says who, my dude?
Says us. We've been tasked with protecting the portal. If no one else here in Sordum will do it, then it is up to us.
Is
Protect.
there a reason you're concerned about the portals? Is there do you have knowledge of a threat?
I apologize. I don't particularly know much about what's going on. Again, the counselor sent us here by order of
Counselor.
the governor. And if you have any knowledge, he would request that you speak with him on the matter. And we would provide an escort if necessary.
Well, I'm gonna look over to Maeve, and in her head, she will hear, Maeve, that it perhaps a chance this counselor knows something about just the portals, but people who might have been crossing through of late. Now the question becomes, we're putting ourselves in danger.
Exactly. We don't know.
Okay, I like to think that while we're doing this conversation, we're just looking at each other like,
Yep,
Yeah,
and I'm just like riffing at this guy, be like, "You have no authority out here, man. Like, this place isn't your place."
I'm a global citizen.
what what I
Exactly.
know, if what I've heard Lepidium mentioned, like by my parents at all, or like by Queen Titania or the Summer Court as some sort of any alliance, do I have any knowledge of that?
No, Lepidium has never been mentioned as a particular threat nor ally. You may just know that it exists here, just from general, geography.
Mhm.
But no, it's never been kind of one way or the other, as far as you know.
Okay.
No animosity
Um,
towards the Fae, but no standing alliances either.
okay. So I'll say back to Kami, they're not allies of the Summer Court to the extent of my knowledge. So I don't know why they would be trying to monitor who's coming in to the Feywild or who's coming out. But we do need more information if anyone has come out of this portal.
perhaps if we're going to be super ambitious, maybe if we speak to the counselor, we might pick up some little nuggets of information about why they're trying to sabotage Galida. Beyond what Ratman told us, which was not much, to be honest.
No. Well, let's go, but I'm not from the Fae.
Oh, of course not.
No.
And so as you guys are kind of finishing up this conversation, Ziggy, you and the leader of this little group are just like yelling at each other now, and he's like, "I'm not trying to force anybody into anything they don't want to do, but I can't let you cross this portal. It is dangerous. There is a risk associated with this, and we can't allow it."
You can't tell me what to do with my own body, man.
Fuck, glitter, relax, it's okay. Now, I can't speak for my entire cohort here, but maybe, maybe we do have some information for your counselor, and we would be happy to perhaps exchange it for any insight you might have on the dangers of the portals.
I can't speak to what the counselor will or will not provide as far as information, but I'm sure he'd be grateful for anything that you could help us with. We've been stationed here for a little while now, and I'd sure like to get off the mountain if I'm honest.
How far is the journey to this counselor?
We could send for him and have him meet us in the outpost to the northeast. After we get down from the mountain, I would say it's half a day's ride. We've got some horses at the bottom on the northeast side of the mountain that we've left down there with a small contingent of soldiers.
Well, what say you, Glitter?
Fine. Just don't like being
Okay.
told what to do, man.
No, of
Not
course.
telling
I
you what you can't do.
It's even worse.
Sir, I didn't catch your name. What is your name?
My name is Galdrick.
Galdrick. Galdrick, are we the first ones to cross your path here? Who else have you seen? Just from our side.
Nobody else we've seen coming from this side.
No one?
There's no. You're the only ones.
Does it seem like he's telling the truth?
Make an insight check.
All right.
I want a vibe check on this guy as well.
20.
Another not one.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No, those dice.
You.
I am vibe checking the hell out of this guy though. That's an 18 plus 8. 26.
Vibes are pretty neutral for the most part. As far as an insight check into what he's saying.
Yeah.
He seems to be emphasizing that nobody's come from this side of the portal.
Okay.
So we haven't seen anybody come from this side as far as like crossing from terrestrial into Fey.
Have you seen people come from the other side of the portal?
We've had some excursions, we'll say, from the other side. Strange things on occasion have come through, but we've pretty much beaten most of them back as best we could.
Beasts or creatures of some kind? What have you? Can you describe it?
I honestly, I don't know. It seems like creatures out of a fairy tale sometimes, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, they've been strange beasts of all different sorts, like nothing I've ever seen.
Beast out of a nightmare, or beast like not out of a nightmare?
I guess it really depends on your definition of a nightmare.
I mean, he said they're from a fairy tale. So.
Wow, that's so interesting. Okay, and you beat them all back into the portal?
Best we could. So are you all? Well, you need the escort down to the outpost. Is this what we need to
It
provide you
seems-
with the escort?
Yes, that seems to be your preferred way of bringing us to this counselor. Lubre?
Very well.
Lubre?
What'd you say?
Lubre.
It's Labrie. It's Labris. So it's spelled like Labris, but it's Labrie.
Labrie.
Oh, he's
Oh,
exotic.
he's French? I hate him already.
There's no French in Cesardo.
No French in Cesardo.
Can you tell?
Sorry, all of our French viewers.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Sorry,
so
all the
many.
French
There's
viewers.
so many.
We were big in Paris, apparently.
We do love the French. We love the French. We're really big in Paris.
As he kind of turns for a moment and he yells back towards the direction of the rest of the soldiers. He says, "Severin," and one of them kind of runs up. And he's not really being like, he kind of turns to talk to him. He's not trying to like be secretive about anything like that. And so you kind of overhear him talking to him, and he says, "I'm taking these three, we're going to bring them down to the outpost. You stay here and let me know if anything else comes through. And so kind of just giving him orders to kind of take over command of this little group of soldiers here, this little unit. And him and three of the other soldiers seem to grab some of their things and kind of come over to the three of you because Whirl and Zaire are still hidden.
Hmm.
Sure.
I'm casually looking up.
And so he kind of like shoulders his pack, grabs his sword and sheathes it. Says, well, do you all need to rest before we get headed down the mountain?
What a great question. No, I'm feeling pretty good.
I don't want to walk anymore, but other than that,
I'm ready to get somewhere a little bit warmer than this.
Once we get to the bottom of the mountain, we've got some mounts that can take us the rest of the way.
Before we head down, could I like Maeve to sort of look around and get a sense of how well equipped these soldiers are? Like count like how many people are up here, what supplies they have, what sort of weapons they have, and just sort of take a mental inventory.
Make a perception check for me.
I'm gonna roll a different dice, everyone, because that one was really not working out for me. Okay, that is much better. 21.
Okay. Just doing a quick kind of survey. They seem to be well supplied. They seem to have set up camp here for some amount of time. Like it's not like they've been here for a day or two. You do a quick count. It seems like there's about 15 or so, including the 4 that are about to escort you guys all down the mountain. But you notice that quite a few of them are wearing sort of like white cloaks, and they sort of try to blend into the snowy environment. So it's possible that there's more that you don't see. But they're pretty well equipped. They're well armed, and they have the kind of resources about them to kind of be up here for some amount of time. And you would know as a spellcaster yourself that at least some of them must be some sort of spellcaster because they were alerted via an alarm spell, and Aldrich mentioned using sending to alert the counselor that you guys would be coming to meet him.
Okay. I'm going to. I assume that the mental link is still open with Kami.
Yes, it lasts for an hour.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So then I'm gonna just communicate and be like, Kami, you always say like just in case there are enemies that to always measure up your enemies, and so I want to relay the information to you so that you know how many soldiers there are, that there are spellcasters and all of that. So you, since you have the political sense, Kami, of Lepidium and Galita, and will likely be the one talking to the counselor.
Repeat that last part, please.
Since you'll be the one speaking to the counselor, you should know what their numbers are here.
Okay.
can I roll a
Very good,
perception
Maeve.
check? Oh, sorry.
You're
go ahead.
learning. You're learning. You know what to learn. But you know it's sticking.
What did you want to look for?
I want to look just around, like as we're walking through. I want to just make sure we're not walking into a trap, like we're like an ambush.
Are you
or
walking like
something.
through their camp? Is that what you're saying?
Well, like they're leading us through, right?
Not through the camp. They're kind of leading you back the way you came back down the mountain.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Yeah. So like you kind of came into the portal that as far as you can tell, kind of the pool of water that's up there, is kind of like up against sort of a cliff, which is where they've made their encampment, which is like to completely surround this pool.
Cool.
And so like there's really nothing to go like through unless you're going into the portal. So they kind of lead you back down, and as you start to go down, they're leading you a different direction because they're going around to the other side of the mountain from where you guys came up. So you guys approached from the southwest, and they're essentially leaving via the northeast. But as you are leaving, go ahead and make a perception check as you're kind of like once you've sort of get off of the initial path that you had taken to get to where they are.
Is it a 20?
Another one.
No.
A 1? I can't.
Yeah.
It's blurry.
It's
It's
so
blurry.
hard to see because these dice are so. It's a 20.
The dice are beautiful. Yeah.
It's a 7. Look.
It's only 2%.
Wow.
I just wanted to show you guys.
Wow.
28.
Okay, you guys are rolling just fail or
Yeah.
crit.
Crit
That's
or
it.
fail.
No in between with us.
It's that kind of day.
Yeah. So keeping kind of your wits about you. Obviously a little suspicious. You're being led down 2 in front, 2 behind. And you do kind of notice the footprints of Zaire in the snow now, as your perception check is very high.
Little talons.
And they are being. You don't notice any traps, but I will say you notice the 4 guards just kind of like keeping a high alert. Like they're not with you guys necessarily, but they're also kind of like sweeping the area, just keeping eyes out type of thing, as they're headed back kind of down the mountain. Go ahead, man.
Can I also say, I guess when we were at the top of the mountain, I was clocking where we were. Basically, like clocking where the portal was so that I'd be able to find my way back there.
Okay.
I don't know if I need any special rolls for that.
Just make a survival check. We'll see how kind of familiar you are, or how well you're kind of keeping your tabs on the area.
Okay.
Maeve's wise.
Yeah, right. I'm really nervous after rolling 2 nat 1s already in less than 10 minutes.
I mean, statistically not likely to happen again.
Nat 20!
Not
Oh,
possible.
Not even kidding you! Nat 20!
Way.
We're
Yes!
rolling.
Oh
We're rolling.
my god.
We're rolling D2s, y'all.
So that's
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Just we're like flipping a coin. No, so that's wow, what? That's a 23.
Okay. Yeah, you feel like if you had to, you could make your way back up this way, for sure.
Okay.
Um,
I can't believe we're rolling like this.
Also,
Crazy.
quick off topic. Has anybody seen the Matt, Abria, and Brennan like little like round table that they did talking about like DMing and stuff?
Yes.
There's a section where they're talking about snacks, and Brennan goes off on this like monologue as he does
He's very pro snacks.
of like I want a snack, and I'm sorry that the words come out of the same hole that the food goes into, but I want a snack.
God, the
And
guy loves almonds.
it's me eating these malt balls, being like, just give me a second because let me finish this before I can continue to tell you about the world.
That's right. I'm eating hentai, so you know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Mm,
And as someone who got right out of the car and came here and not eaten, I will be snacking later. So
yeah.
good job, everybody.
Anyway, quick tangent on that one. Yes, so May, you are just like finding landmarks. You're like, okay, this was the path we took. We were up this high, X, Y, and Z. You got the axes. You know where you're at. Ziggy, as you are keeping your perception high during this trip down the mountain, it's pretty quiet. It's snowy. It's still kind of snowing from time to time. But for a minute, you're just like you are pretty in tune with everything, and you're like sensing every now and then there's like a faint rumble almost. There's like a very faint like somebody just dropped something heavy next to you type of thing. And you're just like, that's kind of weird. And it's not like super frequent and it's not constant, but every now and then you kind of like pick it up.
It's not my
It's just
stomach,
like,
right?
it's not your stomach, no.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna walk up to the guard that I was arguing with.
Baldric?
Yeah. And be like, so Are you hearing this like rumble? Is this something like you guys know about? Is it? Are we about like? Is it avalanche? Do I know that this might be an avalanche that's like coming, or?
Um, so you're kind of asking him about it, and it doesn't feel like an avalanche because it's not like a constant rumbling, right? Like the way that an avalanche
It's
would
not
kind of
like
like
a
shake.
build. It's just like a. Poof.
Every now and then you kind of feel it, and
Does it
and
sound
so he
like
kind of
something very large walking?
he stops as you ask that, and he's like, "What do you feel?"
Like every now and then, like a. Poof,
He gives like a and
hooty-hoo.
he kind of motions like this, and the four guards kind of like grab you guys and kind of like pull you towards like some of the nearby trees, and kind of like motion you guys all to kind of like get down in the snow. And this is how long does invisibility last?
It's an hour.
So you're probably still within the hour.
Okay,
And I'm gonna
but
say
for your, I guess I was gonna say for your context, I would probably be just flying above them. But
okay.
if it changes, yeah, I was imagining that you're kind of just like flying above them. I think he saw like Ziggy pick up on the talons
I like
and be
wave
like,
at him.
Yeah.
I like wave at him while he's walking.
I'm gonna just
I'm gonna
hover
snap your hand down.
Okay.
like a bird's eye.
And I'm gonna say Whirl is maybe like near you, kind of. She's not invisible, so she can't really just fly in the air, but she's kind of like flitting from tree to tree, and her stealth is still super high, so she hasn't been noticed yet either. And I'm gonna say as you guys kind of stop and they pull you kind of down, um, you kind of feel it now, and it does kind of sound like these large footsteps almost. And Zaire, you all of a sudden see it. You don't really know what's going on at the moment because you kind of just see them all stop and like find some tree cover. And you're like, what the hell is that? Like, what are they doing? And then all of a sudden, you see like a head kind of like poke out above one of the trees. And it is a large reptilian head. And you kind of just see it kind of like surveying and like moving in towards the group. That's right, kind of below you. And you notice as its head kind of like pokes up above, there seems to be some sort of like, you can't tell if it's natural or if it's man-made, but it seems to have some sort of like covering over its face and its head.
Like a helmet.
Uh, it could generously be described as a helmet. It seems like some sort of armor. Again, you can't tell if it's like a natural armor or if it's something that's like been put on it.
Reptilian. Did it look like the dragon that we fought, or is it more like snake-like?
It does not look like a dragon so much.
Does that you recognize what it could be?
You do not recognize it, no.
Okay.
Not anything you've ever seen before.
I'm gonna open a telepathic link with Goldrick and just basically ask him, do you have any idea what that is?
He kind of startled for a second, looking around, and he kind of like recognizes the voice for a minute and looks over towards you.
And I'll look at him and just be like,
and he says, remember when I said we were able to turn back most of what came through the portal?
you're telling me this is a fake creature.
It's unlike any Fey creature I've ever seen, but it came from the Fey portal, and it is large. And we beat it back enough where it seemed to leave on its own, and we thought we had dealt with it, but I'm afraid it may have been waiting for its opportunity.
Do I know what it is?
Are you part of this conversation?
Not part of the
Definitely
conversation.
conversation,
Sorry, I'll
but I
let the
mean,
conversation. Yeah. Not the conversation, but like, did I see it? And if so, would I be able to recognize it?
You guys haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Oh, I haven't. Okay, cool.
Who has seen the monster?
Only you, Zaire.
Oh.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So even
I was
Tommy hasn't
confused
seen it.
too.
The guy.
Tommy hasn't seen it yet. No, Zaire got to look at it because it's like he's flying overhead, and he
Okay.
saw just like the head of it kind of like poke out above the trees.
Got
As
it.
it's
And at
like
the same
moving.
time, Tommy's having like a conversation with the dude about like what other things might
what's
be out
going
here.
on? Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
As
Okay.
soon as Zaire sees it, he's gonna fly right down to kind of like the center of the group, like drop invisibility, and then just be like, "There's a huge fucking monster right there."
So
It's
first
just
of
a friend.
all,
It's just a friend.
they immediately draw
Yeah.
swords.
Yeah.
And one of the soldiers that's towards the back, seeing you kind of like appear in the middle, he draws a sword and kind of backs up a few steps. And as he does, you see a mouth just come down out of the trees onto his upper body, basically, and just rip him up off of his feet. And you watch.
Jurassic Park
Well,
shit!
I want to fight
you
a
all
dinosaur
know
so
it's the
bad.
Tyrannosaurus Rex,
I want to fight a dinosaur so bad.
but you all don't know it's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. You know what I mean? Just like emerges from the trees and is like got this guy like in its jaws, and you can just all you hear is like the mouth comes down, and you hear him like scream for a minute before it's just like silenced and then like ripped up into the air. And you notice this T-Rex seems to be wearing like almost armor. It's like this like natural, almost like leather plating that's in addition to its like scales, and it covers its head and like the central part of its body and down its tail. And there's like these like bone spikes that seem to be like coming off of its tail. Let's roll initiative.
Oh my
This is
god.
Honestly,
This is
this
incredible.
is exactly what I wanted out of my Sunday was fighting a T-Rex.
I think it's T-Rex just going full Jurassic
we're
Park.
fighting a dinosaur. Hey.
I was like thinking, I was like, last session was a lot of roleplay. I hope that we just have like a big fucking
Can we-
thing to fight today.
Can we get the da-na-na-na?
Da-na-na.
We can't do it probably because we'll get the. I don't even know.
Right.
For
Just do it very
sure.
badly, like very badly out of tune. That way YouTube can't pick it up.
Exactly.
I will do it.
Oh.
Top tier movie soundtrack.
Ooh, that's good.
Let's hope Eric rolls low.
So I'm not saying Zaire's at fault for this dude dying, but like he definitely like.
Zaire's probably looking at it and being like, "You're on to."
He was part of the order of operations. So
Yeah. Zaire's watching, being like, "Oh, he's going to a better place. Death is the better place."
I mean, they leave all the characters to be that part. It's
Yeah.
Zaire.
Yeah, he just
Like
like he,
Ziggy or Maeve would have been like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." Zaire's like, "Well, anyways, like that Danny DeVito meme." Like, anyway.
Yeah, he's like, "All
no,
right."
I was imagining if he lands, he looks back at the guy steps back, get eaten, and then it's just like Zaire's voice like,
Clocks it.
Zaire's like, "Do I get temporary hit points for that?"
Wait, hold on. Let me put the final blow in.
Yeah, if I do a final kill, does doing it indirectly count as?
Yeah.
All right, let me get you guys set up in here for a second. World's up in a tree. So you're kind of.
I can't believe we're fighting a dinosaur. I'm so excited.
we don't have the map yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you up in just a second. Hang on.
All right. Let me
Hey, Eric,
roll.
you don't have the map.
I'm gonna
I'm the
murder you.
map,
Excuse me?
I'm the map,
Excuse me.
I'm the map. I'm the map.
Yeah, that's good to bug him as I'm about to fight a T-Rex. That's a good move.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get some good combat music going, like individually.
That's
Yeah,
a good
awesome.
plan.
I think it's BYOM.
BYOM.
Bring your own music.
To your own headphones.
This actually works very well. Using the pixel buds in my ear with the headphones over for sound for the chat works well. I need to figure out how to just be able to pipe both, but the issue is when I'm streaming,
It comes through the
it'll
streaming.
come through. So like you guys wouldn't be able to hear it in Discord, but it would come through the stream.
Can you hear mine? Am I good?
No, you're fine.
So you're fine.
It only comes through because it's like literally playing from my computer. So
Eric, really quickly, I looked at the T-Rex and I thought it was rolled over on its like showing its belly.
Oh, but
Yeah, I
give him
did
the,
rotate it, so he was like kind of facing the right way.
give him the good scritches.
Yeah.
In Eric, in this world, are dinosaurs ancestors to birds, and does Zaire see a long lost great grandfather?
Dinosaurs don't exist in this world, as far as you know.
Oh.
This is not a creature that you've ever seen before.
We opening up the multiverse. Are we gonna get more Steven Spielberg villains coming
My
into all
Super
these?
8.
Who could say?
The Super 8 monster.
All right, let me check your initiatives, and we'll be
I really just want to play those.
So we had Ziggy.
You know, I kind of want to rewind and take back that short rest we could have gotten. It's fine. It's good.
let me
It's
roll
good.
for let me roll for World too while I'm at it. Oh no.
Oh no.
Maybe someone else should roll for Whirl, and you should still play Whirl.
Oh,
But
Too late.
she,
I already did.
yeah. Sorry, Bailey.
Okay. So first up is gonna be Ziggy,
Oh no. Okay.
and you are over yonder. You got two soldiers behind you, one of which is Galdrick, and then the two kind of in front of you where the T-Rex is. And one of them seems to be in the jaws of the T-Rex. Actually, let me roll that real quick.
I believe it was half of his body was in the jaws of the T-Rex.
It does appear that, yeah. Let me see.
I spilled pad thai all over my pad.
What a week we are having.
That's terrific, isn't it, Jake?
Oh, whoa! Look at the time.
I would say it's terrible.
Tommy offers up Maeve and Ziggy as sacrifices to the T-Rex.
All right.
No.
Well, the guy that's in the T-Rex's jaw seems to be alive still.
Oh, that's fucking morbid.
So give him.
Zaire, no!
I will.
Go ahead, Zig.
I'm gonna go ahead and bonus action take on Sorry Form,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna be like, you guys are gonna need this for this, and I'm gonna cast hashtag Stoke on my party members.
All
right.
I will blash. I get 3 creatures. So I will do me, May, and Zaire.
All right. You guys are hashtag stoked.
Hashtag stoked, which is just bless. And then I will bonus action. I'm gonna bonus action fucking fling a bolt at this thing. Trying
Go
to hit
ahead.
it. I'm gonna try and hit it in the eye to drop the dude.
Go ahead and make your attack roll.
Didn't you just say Stoke was a bonus action?
No,
Is Stoke a bonus action or an action?
Stoke is an action. Taking my starry form, I get to do that and use a bonus action to take the attack.
It's also a bonus action to activate it, but when you activate it, you get a free arrow.
Yes. I just did it slightly out of order, but it doesn't affect mechanics. So it's cooler that I cast Stoke on you when I was glowing. Okay.
You didn't cast it on me.
That's true. You generally don't need it though. A 12 plus 8, 20?
To hit? Yes, that hits.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I'm like nervous what my response is gonna be.
All right.
What does Bless do again, Ziggy? Bless is +4 on a roll?
Plus a D4 on attack roll.
D4. Attack, okay.
And ability checks, right?
And
attack
ability
roll or
checks.
saving throw?
Saving throw.
Attack roll
Yeah.
or saving throw?
Okay.
Wow. I rolled a 1 on the dice, so it takes 1d8 plus 5. So it takes 6 damage.
Damage.
And
It
then
seems
I'm a
unfazed.
yeah. I'm shocked. So I will turn to Kami, who's right next to me, and be like, "You got this, right?" And I'm just gonna I'm gonna run 30 feet backwards.
Well, I killed one wizard. I can kill another. Let's go. Here we do
Actually,
this.
I will stay within 30 feet. I'm gonna put 30 feet between me and it, but I am gonna run backwards.
All right, we'll say you go like back there.
Yeah, one step forward would be that's perfect.
There you go. All right. Is that it?
Yeah, that's gonna be it.
All right. Kami, you're up.
All right, I'm over here. All right, I'm going to say, I'm definitely going to need a little help with this, and I'm going to clutch the amber drop around my necklace and kind of reach out to activate my Kin's Fury. I pre-rolled my dice. I rolled a 3. So thankfully, I do get an answer to the call. And from my fist, this sort of like white smoke fills up and takes the form of my ancestor Falvir, standing tall and defiantly behind me. And I kind of like take a breath, steel myself, and um, and then take my glaive and basically drag it down across my palm to wet the blade with my own blood to instill the curse on the giant dinosaur creature man thing. So I take
No.
I'm so
3
excited to fight a fucking
necrotic
dinosaur.
damage.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 4. It's 1d6 plus 1, so 4 necrotic damage. And that is
I'm gonna go urinate.
that's my whole shebang.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm gonna move. Sorry, let me move close to it.
Like up to there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. May, you're up.
I am very surprised at seeing this creature, which I don't recognize, right? This is a creature I've never seen before or read about.
Correct.
Okay. So I can tell that it's trying to hurt us.
Well, it's got one of you in its jaws. So
Yep. So I'm past the point of trying to.
Is it nice?
I would like to do a nice check. So I'm going to bonus action Blade Song.
okay.
So you can see that I am going to start to like crackle, and there's some like lightning energy from me. And then I'm going to sort of channel that into casting a witch bolt at the dinosaur at a 3rd level.
All right. Go ahead and make your attack roll.
Awesome. And then I'm like with doing that, I'm just going to try to get to cover afterwards. So like sort of like shooting my witch bolt out from behind the tree.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, wow. I get to add to my attack roll a d4, right? Tiny
You
d4.
do, yeah.
I don't know if that's really going to save me, honestly. That's okay, well maybe. I mean, it's also wearing armor, so okay. That's a 14.
14 misses.
14 misses.
It kind of like you're kind of in the woods and stuff still, and so your witch bolt blasts into one of the trees, but misses the T-Rex standing directly behind it.
Too
And then you
startled.
kind of like duck behind for cover over here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It is okay. So the beginning of the T-Rex's turn. This guy's gonna take. Okay, so
Oh my god, I'm sorry to interrupt. I have a playlist on shuffle, and guess what song is playing right now?
T-Rex.
Dress Park.
oh really?
All of a sudden, I'm hearing it come through my headphones, and I'm like, get out.
So you guys watch as the T-Rex just kind of like closes its mouth fully, and you just watch as like basically the lower half of that soldier just like falls to the ground into the snow. And he kind of like looks towards you all, and he reaches down. He's gonna make another bite attack against this soldier in front of him. That's gonna be 13, 12, 25, 32 points of damage to that guy, and now he's in his jaws.
That's not good.
And then he's gonna kind of like step forward this way and kind of like turn around, and he's gonna whip his sort of tail with a barbed armor on it and a wide arc around him. And I need Zaire and Kami to make dex saving throws for me.
Which I have advantage on because I can see it.
17.
Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Dirty 20?
Okay.
Zaire, did you add your D4?
How many times do I get to do that on any dice?
Any
As long as
attack,
it's up.
any attack or saving throw, as long as I maintain concentration.
That would then become a 19.
Okay. You both save.
Nice.
So you're going to take half of.
Half of 137.
Do this way. Math. Why can't I do it? 31 halved to 15.
Halved again for me to 7.
Halved again to 7 for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of just like manage to kind of like roll out of the way and then like catch your feet, keep your feet as this tail comes flying through. And May, you watch as it kind of like comes in your direction and basically like demolishes the tree that you just stepped behind. Like it kind of swings over your head and you watch as like it cleaves it almost in half as it comes across. He kind of like whips his tail around and then comes back, still holding the other guy in his mouth, and is just kind of like looking at you two. And with that, we're gonna go to you, Zaire.
Jeez. So Zaire just kind of gets like
Oh.
narrowly avoids it and still kind of gets hit. And as he's like kind of like still like had just come down and this thing, his adrenaline's pumping, he like takes a beat and he like reaches on his sash where his holy symbol is kind of just hanging and touching it. In his mind, he says a quick like prayer to the Viet, and you see like almost like a bluish kind of radiance come across him as he casts Shield of Faith. Bonus action Shield of Faith.
Okay.
Let me cast that. So that is just a +2 to my AC.
Right.
And then with kind of like touching and like the recognition almost that he feels like he's more protected, he is going to jump up into the air and try and land on like fly it to attack the T-Rex with a like on like the back of his neck, like trying to get behind his head for a talon attack.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack roll.
All right. That is a 16.
16. You get kind of like up onto his back and you go to kind of like start raking into it and you realize the armor that he wears kind of over his head extends down his back and the back of his neck. and so you're kind of like tearing into this like almost like leather-like armor that's on his back, but it doesn't seem to be getting through to him. It's a miss.
So that's a miss. All right, I think he's gonna like look around and see if there's any like weak points in the armor or where he tore at, or like an area like on a different side of the T-Rex where he can try to like slash in, and he's gonna make another attack.
Okay,
That one is a 19 to hit.
that hits.
All right, so
You
he
kind of
is
find
going.
an opening in the armor, and you sort of like finally like find purchase in the flesh of this creature.
Yep. So he's going to. That's only 7 slashing, but let me make sure I'm reading the word. 7 slashing. Can I use stunning strike and touch of death? It just they both say when I hit a creature with a melee attack. Can those both be added as a pawn? Like
They should be able to, because yeah, one of them uses the key point, right, and one of them is just like a ability.
one of them is just my resets on a short rest.
Right.
Yeah, so he like strikes in, not really trying to do much like actual slashing damage, but just like get in, and then gonna do channel divinity to deal 9 points of necrotic damage. So feeling kind of like the necrotic energy pulse through him into the T-Rex, and attempt to direct it to stun the T-Rex for a short
Nice.
time.
All right.
And
Sick.
that's a con saving throw, Eric.
Fucking monks, dude.
It's a
Monks are so
21
cool.
save.
It's a 21 save, so it
Yeah.
saves.
This is a hardy creature.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was a good plan.
Yeah.
Worth a
All
worth
right.
a try for
He
sure.
kind of like reacts as you kind of like dig in. He like feels it kind of sit in. He kind of seems like he's trying to like turn his head and like rip you off, basically.
Okay. Then so I have an additional unarmed strike. So I'm just gonna try to do it again. Oh no, that's as a bonus action. I already used my bonus action.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Then so the second strike is that you're still kind of like perched on his back.
Yeah. Oh, I just have to move you over there. But yeah.
Move him over. Okay. He even with the high AC, I'm gonna hold dodge.
Okay.
With spending to use patient defense. So like he saw what he could just did to like the clearing of trees,
Yeah.
and still perched on the back of this monster, but like ready and like astute to anything that might try to come his way.
All right.
Caw, motherfucker.
Whirl's up last. I'm gonna say she's still hidden, given her kind of stealthiness. So from up in the tree, you all just kind of like see an arrow streak out towards the T-Rex. I'm pretty sure that hits. What's your stats here? Oh yeah, that'll hit for 1d6. Not great, but then 4d6 on top of that. So that is 19 points of piercing damage. And you kind of watch as she sort of like flits from the tree that she was in, kind of like further back over to here. Before she kind of like disappears from your sight again. She kind of like blends in and hides back into the tree with a bonus action hide. And from there, we'll go back to the top with Ziggy.
All right. Well, I don't want to get close to this thing, so I am probably just going to yell out to the group. I'm gonna stay back here, and everybody else go over there. And as I point out of my finger, like a burst of starlight will come out, and I will use a guiding bolt use on it. 12 plus 8,
The 20 to hit.
20 to hit.
20 hits.
All right. Oh, god damn it. Can I do...
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're good. You're good.
Every time I'm going to ask. 17 plus 8.
Yeah, that'll hit as well.
So I'll do that D8 first. 5 plus 5 is 10.
All right.
And then the 4d6 for the guiding bolt plus the advantage. Okay. 3, 6, 6, 2. 12 plus 5 is 17.
Okay. 17 more points on top of that.
Yep.
right.
And I will shift so that I'm opposite of that giant tree from Whirl, but stay maintaining distant, or not Whirl, sorry, from May. Basically putting Whirl between May and I.
So like over here.
Actually, I can just pull it up. I don't know. Like over here. Oh, yeah. Over here. So.
Okay. So you want to shift like down to here?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I totally forgot to give the soldiers their turn at the end. So
They're startled.
at this point, they're a little startled. As you guys are all kind of like reacting, Galdrick's going to kind of look at the one next to him. He's going to kind of point at you, Ziggy, and say, "Stick with the cleric." And he's going to run in towards him, and this guy's going to kind of stick over here with you. Yeah, I think he thinks you are because you were kind of like, "You guys take care of it. We're like, I'll help out." He thinks you're a cleric for whatever reason. And so he's going to kind of come help out you over here, and he's going to run in. I'm going to do this attack before you did your advantage thing, so it doesn't like take away from it, because this should have happened beforehand.
Before my turn.
So he's going to take his attack, and he misses with the first one. Second one, so he should be up here. Hits, which is going to be... Ooh, pretty good. 14 points.
Eric, I never rolled for my Wheeler Woe. Should I just do that now?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's
Even.
that?
I don't remember which one that is.
That's the D6 to help on any D20 roll.
Okay. Got it. That's right. Okay. So anyway, they take theirs. He basically runs up, takes out his longsword, and takes a couple of slashes at it at the T-Rex, basically trying to like cut the guy out of his mouth, because that's one of his guys in there. Okay. Kami, you're up.
The guy in his mouth, is he alive or dead?
He seems to be struggling still.
Okay. How is he like leaning? Like, how far is the mouth from me?
About 15 feet up.
Okay.
Big old guy. Big old T-Rex.
I'm gonna bonus action manifest echo, so all of your coalesces into his more physical looking form.
Okay.
And we're both gonna say at the same time again, like when I speak, two voices come out of my mouth, and we're gonna say, "Drop it, boy!" And we're gonna kind of like run and leap because we have a 10-foot reach. So I'm gonna try to like back up and run and leap and like swing the glaive up at the jaw.
Okay.
Essentially trying to like slice the bottom of his jaw, maybe to release some jaw muscles or something like that.
All right. And what do you want Falvir to be during this?
Oh, sorry, I should mention. And I'm going to use a unleashed incarnation, so we're both going to be attacking at the same time.
Okay. What do you want? Is you just like next to you?
So because with him everything is like very precise and symmetrical, we're basically mirroring each other, and the two versions, the physical one and the ghostly version of Kandalum, are both going to like come up like a cross blade against each other underneath the jaw.
Okay. Go ahead and make
Very
your
artistic.
two,
Very artistic.
make your two glaive attacks.
And they should. This is, I guess, a rules question for you because technically, I have advantage because of guiding bolt. Correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Do both of these attacks have advantage?
It's the next attack.
Yeah, so it'd be one of them.
It's just
I know you're kind of making simultaneously, but we'll say it's yours rather than his.
Okay, so then mine.
use that great weapon master.
Let's just hit first.
Oh,
So
wait, do you
with
not have
advantage,
what's the feat that you take -5 to hit, but you deal an extra 10 damage?
it's not a feat. It's just I can. Oh, that is a feat.
No, that is a
I
feat.
can
That's
also-
sharpshooter.
But they have
Yeah.
one, oh, like Polar Master or something? I don't know.
Anyways, it's a 27.
That'll hit, yeah.
Ooh.
Alrighty, and so that will be. Where's my d10? 16 plus a d6. Okay, so 16 slashing damage and 4 necrotic damage.
Okay.
And then Falvir's attack will be actually the exact same thing, a 27, so another 18.
Yeah, that'll hit.
And then so does he get the extra necrotic damage as well from the curse, or is that just me?
No, only the physical
Okay.
one that you use.
Okay. So then his will just be. I can reroll! 11 slashing.
Right.
But the T-Rex now has disadvantage on any attack. What is it? What did I want to make sure the wording is right. There's ancestral guardians. It has disadvantage on any attack that isn't against me. And when the target hits a creature other than me, that creature has resistance to the damage dealt by the attack.
That's so good.
Right.
It's so good.
So good.
I'm gonna say
Thank you, ancestor.
is it enough to make him drop it is kind of the question at this point.
I mean, up to you.
You kind of like cut up towards his mouth. I'll say at the very least he's like now interested in you. So on his turn, it might change the way that he acts. He doesn't drop
Well, then
it,
you know what?
but
Well, then, does it look like I made some progress potentially on
Oh, yeah.
getting this guy free? All right, then I'm going to action surge and do all that again.
okay.
All right, so I've used one Unleash Incarnation. I have 2 left. So next attack, this one does not have advantage because I already used the Guiding Bolt advantage, correct?
Correct,
Siggy?
yeah.
Okay. So for just a regular attack for me, that's going to be terrible. What can I do? What's 5 plus 9? 14, which
14.
doesn't hit.
14
And you're not
misses.
blessed.
But let's see, Falvir. Nice against the wall. Falvir's attack is a 19.
That hits. Yep.
Then he will do. What am I saying? 12 more slashing.
Oof. Okay. All right. We'll see what happens on the T-Rex's turn. We're gonna go to May for now.
Okay, so the tree in front of me is completely decimated, right?
It's like basically like maybe a foot above your head. There's still tree, and then everything above that's just gone. Like splintered. Like next to you, there's just like splinters and like branches and things just like lying on the ground.
Okay. Was I able to see what Kami just did?
Yeah. I mean, you're watching everything that's happening.
Okay. So I am going to run behind the creature and try and run like up its tail and onto its back where Zaire is.
Okay.
And find a place without the armor, like a soft spot. And I am going to take my rapier and just like stab down and then be like, what my friend Kami is saying is go down, and with that also cast Booming Blade. So using my rapier attack for that. And that is...
Would Jess get advantage on that?
I
are we flanking it with like Kami in front and me on the back, and Jess also
yeah, I'd
potentially
give
on
you
the back?
advantage on that for flanking purposes, sure.
Okay, so that was a dirty 20
Plus the
without
D4?
advantage. Plus D4, so 24 without advantage.
Well,
just
no,
for...
not just +4, plus a D4.
D4.
Yeah, which was a 4. I rolled a 4.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so 24. But let's roll again with advantage and see what I get. And yeah, I would say that this might be a little bit better. So 23 without the D4, 25.
Okay. That hits. Go ahead and roll damage on that. So you kind of like rush up, like kind of like dodging in between the spikes that come out of the armor on its tail as you're kind of like climbing up its back. And you kind of like swing around one of the spikes and with your rapier in one hand, kind of like along the side of it, like holding onto one of the spikes, like find underneath where its armor is and kind of like jam it up into its ribs.
13 damage.
13 damage on that. That's with the booming bleed damage.
It's just the rapier damage first, and then booming blade comes in when the creature moves. So if the creature moves, then it takes 2d8 thunder damage, I believe.
And don't forget, you also, because you're above 5th level, in addition to the rapier damage on the hit, it takes 1d8 thunder damage.
And it takes 1d8 on the hit. Awesome. Okay.
Yep. And then there's the additional 2d8 when it moves.
Okay, so I just rolled 8, so 21 damage.
21. So that's an additional 8 on top of it. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that it for your turn?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I can do. I don't think I have a bonus action I can use.
So on the T-Rex's turn, he's kind of like reacting to the cuts from the glaive, and he kind of like whips his head around and throws the guy that was in his mouth kind of like out of it as his jaw kind of like slacks open, and the guy kind of like rolls on the ground kind of like into the tree over here, and he seems just, let's see, actually he seems to just like barely be kind of like hanging on to life. He kind of like seems to be trying to like pick himself up a little bit. He's still alive, but he's now been bitten almost in half and now tossed into the trunk of this tree.
His times are you?
He is going to lash down at Kami, and he's going to make a bite attack against Kami. That is going to be 28 to hit.
Yeah.
And that's going to do 27 points of piercing damage.
27?
Half to 13. And you are grappled.
I don't make a save or anything.
So not initially. You can on your. Yeah, not initially, but you can on your turn to try and escape.
Got it.
Basically, he just bit down on you, and you're now just like in his jaws.
Okay.
And with that, he's basically just gonna like pick you up, and is going to like charge forward through this group. And is gonna like, with you two are still on its back, which is
And it takes thunder damage.
gonna take thunder damage.
Yeah, 2d8. So should I do that now?
Go ahead and roll that on the way as he's kind of running through it.
Uh-oh.
Let me find some d8. 1. 10 points of damage total.
Okay. And as he kind of runs through, he's going to whip his tail around again at Galdrick. Kami, your echo, can it take damage? I don't remember how that works. Okay. And May, I'm going to have you do it too, just because of the way that you ran up his back. You're kind of on his tail, which is kind of making the attack. So I need Kami, your echo, I guess, to make a dex save. May, you to make a dex save, and we're going to have the soldiers make death saves. Ooh, that's not good.
It's a 16.
So 16 for your echo.
Okay, let me roll a dex save. 21.
Okay. So basically, the echo. Actually, the echo saves. May, on yours, I'm gonna say instead of taking half damage, you kind of manage to just like scurry like up off of its tail, kind of like onto its back as it's kind of sweeping around. Because it's like cutting through trees and everything again. So like rather than slamming you into the tree, you manage to kind of like put the spikes on the back between you and the trees. And so like you don't really take damage from it, but you're just like going along for the ride at the moment. The echo is gonna take dice. Ooh, jeez. 37 points of bludgeoning damage? No,
So the
halved.
echo,
Sorry, halved. To 16.
it doesn't matter. My echo has 1 hit point. So as soon as it is hit and takes damage, it vaporizes.
Okay.
But I should say, because technically he's still with me as the ancestral guardian. So he basically like falls into this like back into like his misty kind of incorporeal, really like loose form.
Yeah, basically watches the tail just like swings through and just like knocks him basically back into the spirit plane or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And the soldiers take all of that damage. So this guy who was like struggling to get up from against the tree just like managed to like start to push himself up and then just gets obliterated by the tail of this dinosaur. Like just becomes a smear on the tree. And
Just don't forget, I don't know if it makes a difference. He has resistance to damage by this creature.
for Galdrick, that's a good thing. For him, doesn't matter.
Got it. Okay.
So he's just like, as the tree kind of like that he was up against gets taken out, like he's just like obliterated in a red mist as this thing comes through. And as this is happening, Ziggy, you kind of hear the guard behind you kind of like shouting at Galdrick. And you kind of hear him go like, Galdrick! You hear him go, no! And then you hear it cut out. And you kind of like turn to look behind you and he's gone. And you watch, you kind of hear the very like, you hear like the beating of wings, and you watch as this massive bird is just like taking off with him in its talons. And so basically, like,
the guy right next to me?
yeah, he's just gone. He's just like lifted up into the air. You hear him yelling, and you all of a sudden hear his voice cut out, and you like look, and he's gone, and then you kind of like are looking around for a second, and you see this huge. It's almost like
Have
again,
I
not
seen
the
have I seen this creature before, or is this a pterodon?
No, so that's what I'm gonna say. So you guys, you again haven't seen anything like this, but in describing it to you, it's almost like a rock, but it's not quite as big as a rock. It's just a large, like, very basically like very scary looking bird.
Are you sure it's not a pterodon?
It's not. It's not. It doesn't look dinosaur-esque.
Damn
It
it.
looks like a giant bird, and it's just like grabbed this thing in its talons, and as you see it kind of fly away, you almost see another one that seems to be kind of like circling above a little bit. But this one is like in and out of like your basically this battle map area. It's just like in and out in like a flash as it picks this guy up. And
I don't like. I won't be able to take my action before it's like out of range. Is that?
Yeah, on its turn, it basically like dives in, picks this guy up, and is
And
just
then
like
moves like 100 feet.
gone. Yeah.
Cool.
Like this thing is very large and moves very quickly. Um,
Don't love that. Do
So this
not
guy's
Not great.
that.
gone. Um,
Okay, that's fine. How far away is it?
how far away is this bird now?
Yeah. Well, on my turn. Or this is not my turn. This is
This is at the end of the dinosaur's turn.
okay.
You just like hear this happen, and you're just like, you don't really know how to react for a second because it's just like, what the fuck just happened?
Sure.
But then Zaire,
Sure.
you're up.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, what?
Zaire, you're up.
You're not the biggest
Okay.
bird in town anymore.
Did Zaire see that, or is where he's focused on, or is he?
Honestly, you guys are all pretty focused on the dinosaur at the moment. Ziggy's the only one because like this guy was shouting behind him, and then all of a sudden he just like heard his voice cut out.
Yeah.
And he's like, what
That
the
makes
fuck?
sense. Okay, so Zaire kind of still like latched onto the dinosaur. I think it's kept the spot where he tried to do the stunning strike, and he's gonna cast inflict wounds through like the same like spot where he had
Okay. So
the.
go ahead and make your attack roll.
So that's add the D4. That's a 17 to hit.
That misses.
Okay. So
You're kind of like jostled as he starts to like move through all of these like basically he's like knocking trees out of his way as he's going, and you're kind of trying to just like hold on to the back as he's like your branches and splinters are like flying past you.
mhm. And we've established that's the spell attack, right? So I can't, even though it's a melee attack, you can only do that once.
Correct, yeah.
All right.
Because it's casting a spell still.
Yeah. So let me see if I get.
I think you can use a key point though to try and make another attack. If I'm not mistaken.
I think it's just
Flurry
it's
of
an
claws.
unarmed attack. I don't know if inflict wounds is an unarmed spell attack. I can make another unarmed attack. I don't know if that.
Yeah, again, it wouldn't be the spell, but you could make just a regular unarmed attack if you wanted to, I think.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that since. So we'll spend a key point, and he'll make 2 more unarmed attacks for flurry of blows.
Flurry of bows.
Flurry of yeah.
Flurry of claws.
All right, that's gonna hit. That's a 8. That's a. That's like a 28 to hit.
Yeah,
and
that'll
then
hit.
a 20 dirty 20 to hit.
That'll hit as well, yes.
So for the first one, that'll be 10 slashing. And then fuck it. I'm also gonna use another key point to try to make that a stunning strike.
Okay. Go ahead and okay,
That's
sorry.
a con save.
17 to save?
That saves barely. And then the damage for the second one is a
Is
8.
that a high con, to be fair?
Yeah, I should I've got a potential plan for that.
Okay.
8.
So how much damage was it?
That was the second one was 8 slashing.
Got it. Okay.
Nice.
So Ra'ir's gonna kind of continue like getting frustrated that he couldn't get inflict wounds, just slash him a few more times, and then it's going to lift off, and he's gonna jump off his back and probably rise like 20 or so feet above the T-Rex, kind of hovering. Yeah, I would say where he last saw, kind of near Kami, like about 20 feet or 30 feet above Kami.
Okay. Kami's actually technically in here at the moment.
Oh, you're right. So yeah, he'll go then maybe, yeah, probably just 30 feet above him, I would say.
Okay. We'll say that's kind of where you are.
Yes.
All right.
And then if it matters, if he tries to take an opportunity attack, I have dodge as my bonus action. So that I got from my key point last turn.
Okay.
So he'll just, as he flies off the top, dodge any attempt at the T-Rex to attack him.
Got it. All right. Whirl is up, and she is kind of she probably saw everything that was going on with this other thing, with this giant bird. At this point, though, I don't know if she would necessarily even have a shot or want to take it. So I think she's going to kind of like pop out, shoot on the run, and she's going to take a shot at this guy. Ooh, with advantage, she misses. Rolled a
How?
17 with advantage. Yeah, not great. Oh wait, but she gets it. No, she didn't have. She wasn't stoked, right?
She wasn't stoked. I didn't even know where she was.
Yeah, that's true. All right, we're just gonna let her bonus action. She's gonna give herself some space, though. I think she's gonna move over here.
Realistically, I definitely would have given stoke to the rogue, but I literally did not know where she was when the
Then
birding
she
was
also
going.
rolled nat 1 on her hide over there.
I should be rolling for
The
work.
DM
Not
rolls. The DM roll.
super well hidden.
Why did we let Eric roll
I
for
don't
her?
know.
We're
I
not gonna-
know.
Here we are. All right, and we're gonna head back to the top with you, Ziggy.
Okay. Bonus action, bolt. Just getting that out of the way.
Bonus action bolt.
Yeah.
Oh, your starry bolt.
My starry bolt.
Got it.
Bonus action.
I
Bolt.
thought you were casting guiding bolt again. I was like bonus action.
No, not the guiding bolt. Just the bolt.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
guiding.
Got it.
13 plus 8. 20 burn.
That'll hit.
D8 plus 5. Whoop. 3 plus 5. 8. And then I'm going to try and get Maeve's attention, and I'm going to yell to her and be like, if you have something that needs to hit, this is the time. And I'm going to hold a guiding bolt until May is about to strike.
I'll say you can hold it until she's like right before she's up in initiative order. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, basically I'm going to wait past I'm holding just my action, which I am doing, and the trigger is May looks like she's about to attack something.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay. And Kami, you're up.
So I'm still clenching this thing's jaws, right?
You are.
Right.
It would be
Try to break out.
strength. Strength check, I guess, to get out.
I'm going to give him one of my wheels. No, yeah, my wheels. So a D6.
So you can help him with the attempt.
Yeah, it's any D20 roll.
Okay.
So.
What does that give me?
Plus 5 to this roll.
All right, my roll with advantage. Okay, so that's a lot. That's a 31.
Yeah.
No
so
question.
You get kind of like bit, and you're just like you feel yourself kind of like lifted off your feet and like pulled along with it, and as you kind of like get your bearings about what the hell just happened, you basically just like take your arms up, grab the teeth, and just like force the jaw open, and kind of just like one arm above your head, like standing in its jaws, like forcing it open. And
Okay.
go ahead.
Then I'm gonna take a second to refocus myself as a bonus action. I'm gonna manifest echo again.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say to me, and the shadowy shape of Baldur is gonna like whip and coalesce above the head of the T-Rex, and I'm gonna do another unleashed incarnation, and I'm gonna stab up while he stabs down, and it's another mirrored attack.
All right.
Is that yours like flying right above Kami in the head, or just sees this dude like come right next to him? Oh my gosh!
I wish May could see this. She can't because she's hanging on for dear life on the tail.
Yeah.
The back of
All
the
right,
body.
that's another 20. I keep rolling 18s. That's another 27.
Okay, that'll hit. Go ahead and roll the second attack as well.
Sick. What?
Roll the second attack as well.
Yeah, roll them together.
Okay, so 12 years is a 15 plus, what is it, 9? So 24?
That hits as well. So go ahead and roll damage for
Okay.
both of them.
Okay, so let me just roll.
So cool. So cool.
It's not very cool. One is a 2, so I get to re-roll it. All right, so 16 plus 7 is 23 plus 5 is 28 plus 2 necrotic damage, so 30 altogether.
Okay. With the 2 attacks.
Yes.
Oof. All right. You kind of like cut into like the neck and the jaw, and just kind of like he tries to kind of like bite down again, but like you almost feel like you've cut into like the muscle, and like it's like he's like weaker for it. And he kind of like shakes you out of his mouth, basically like kind of like dropping you to the ground. And he kind of just like seems to like shake his head and try and like gather himself. He's looking pretty bad. Is that it for your turn though, Kami? Maeve's up.
Okay, I'm gonna look over.
I guess now is when I throw my bolt.
Okay, go ahead and use that.
Okay.
11 plus 8, 19?
19 hits.
Okay. We're going down. I don't remember what hits. I've been rolling
That's
above 20.
very close to not hitting, but it does hit.
No. So that's 46, and you have advantage, May, on any attack that you throw at it.
Okay,
6, 5, 2, 1. So 11 plus 3, 14.
14. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna look over to Ziggy and just nod my head as I'm holding on to the dinosaur, and then I'm going to try to get my footing actually on the back of this dinosaur and jump into the snow off of it to get enough distance where either what would work better after I roll to the ground, I'm going to turn around and cast Witch Bolt on it at a
high level.
second level. Second level.
All right, go ahead and roll your Witch Bolt attack with advantage.
I guess I have advantage. I'm doing fourth level.
Yeah, baby.
I have 1 4th level spot. I'm doing 4th level.
All right,
Let's
ahead.
go. Okay.
You have a D4.
I just critted.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, Witch
All
Bolt,
right.
4th level.
Eric's like, God
Why are we
fucking
getting
damn it.
Go ahead. Roll damage.
Eric's so bad.
Didn't even need the
What?
guiding bolt.
What does 4th level Witch Bolt that goes to 70 10?
Let's look.
It'll be 8d12.
8d12.
It'll be 8d12. 8d12.
Jesus Christ!
I am crackling with this energy as I'm shooting this Witch Bolt. And the Witch Bolt, just for flavor, it's like a bright crackling green. And I get to roll 7.
Okay, so it's 4d12, but then doubled.
Yeah,
because of the
4d12
double.
doubled,
Got it.
yeah. Okay.
Jeez.
I knew you were going to do this at a second level.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, thank goodness I have so many dice where I might be able to just get enough to roll 8
You
at the same
have
time.
8d12s?
I'm not
Let's
surprised.
see. That's
Next to you,
3,
I mean, I think I
That's
do in total,
4.
but not with me.
5. That's 6. Okay, I only have 6.
Oh,
no, I have
no.
7. I have 7. So I'll just have to roll 1 again.
I love how Eric was like, "Oh yeah, it wasn't doing too hot," and now Jess made not
Fucking
just like fuck.
Cook it.
Just like say less. Boom.
Boom. 6 times 3, so that's 18, 27, 29, 34. Plus 8. So 42.
Sure.
How do you want to do this, Jess?
Yeah.
So I'm standing on the tail. I'm going to somersault off of the back of the dinosaur, roll, and turn around, cast Witch Bolt, and I'm going to strike it, I think, right right in its jaw. so that the witch bolt just like goes into its mouth and through the top of its head.
Okay. So, Ziggy, you kind of like hit it with this blast, illuminating like its entire form. And May, you kind of like, as the blast hits it in the side, you kind of like roll off around the side of it on the far side from where Ziggy is, and kind of like roll into the snow and like arm up, like Kamehameha, ready to go, just like unleash this blast of like dark, crackling energy. And it just goes straight up from where Kami was just laying into it, like up through its head, and it just rears back, kind of like gives out a roar as it's hit with this energy before just like falling all the way backwards. And you watch as Galdrick is kind of just like behind it, like tries to like step out of the way as this whole form just like crashes down as it kind of like rears up full up on its two legs and then just falls backwards. And it's just like smoking and steaming in the snow.
The pit bull
And then I'm
going
gonna
up a
yell,
tree.
"Don't fight my friends," is gonna be what I yell while I do it.
And Ziggy, looking around, you kind of notice the large bird creature was kind of like circling around, almost like trying to make another pass. And then you kind of hear in the distance a loud whistle. And the bird kind of like starts to kind of like make a dive towards you all before kind of like pulling up and back. And you see the second bird kind of like swings around with it and kind of makes a low pass before it kind of leaves the area.
Oh no! I hear the whistle.
Yeah.
Do I
Make
intuit that these things are actually being controlled by somebody?
make a perception check for me.
I'm gonna use a wheel to give myself +6 on this.
Okay.
+4. 17 +4 +8. 21 +8, 29.
Hey, that's really good. So you kind of watch this thing dive and pull back, and just at the very edge of kind of like what you're able to see in sort of the cloud cover and the sunlight, as it kind of makes its low pass with the other one kind of in front of it, it kind of comes down like this, and it kind of banks above you guys, and you look up and you see sort of a humanoid that seems to be riding this bird. And
I
as you kind of see it up there, you are trying to like get a look at it, and it seems to be it's sort of like a large humanoid creature, and it seems to kind of be like entirely fur covered. And you kind of look towards like its face as it kind of peers down at you, and you see almost like a bovine sort of face to it as it kind of like looks out over the side of this bird. And it
uh
seems to be whatever it is that you are, it seems to be of a similar make,
how far away is it right now?
hundreds of feet.
Is it within 300?
Um, Probably not, honestly. Like these things are big and fast and they fly high up, but like you got a really good perception check to see this thing. Like you can just barely
Oh
see it. I'd say
no.
it's maybe right at the range of it. What are you trying to
I
release?
I want to earthbind that thing so fucking bad. Um okay. Dudes, I that was me. That was me. Like,
What are you talking about, Ziggy?
like it was a
It was a giant reptile beast, and then the
no,
giant.
no. Okay, sorry. Okay, so you didn't see, but like a big bird thing took the guy that was standing next to me. I look over at the captain. Sorry about that. Nothing I could do. But like I just saw when we killed that thing, it was gonna dive again. Heard a whistle. Was like, ah, this is probably like fuck. This guy just like trained these things. I saw a whatever I am on the back of the bird thing.
Do you want me
You
to follow
saw,
it?
and
I mean, if without dying, that'd be great.
How How far away are they now?
These things are big and they are fast.
Yeah.
So they're
like-
a couple 100 feet away at least.
Okay.
Probably-
I like look up and then I look down. He's like, I can't promise that I can do that without dying.
Can I tell you fly me up to the tallest tree?
Okay.
And I'm just going to try and get the best vantage point to see where they're flying.
Okay. They are. They're kind of just from where you are. I guess the direction you'd see is they're just headed kind of east for the most part.
Just like pretty much due east, not north or south.
Yeah,
Just flying away
just
from
kind of
mountain.
east away from wherever you guys were.
Fuck. All right.
Do you want to go down?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go down.
Put me down. Get me down.
Upseas.
And as you guys are kind of like
Upseas.
doing all this, Galdrick kind of just like is trying to like collect himself and just like wipe some blood kind of off the side of his face. Picks like there's a large kind of like wooden splinter that kind of like jammed into his shoulder. He just kind of like pulls that out, kind of covers it with his hand. He kind of just takes a deep breath for a minute. Says, "We need to make it back to the outpost as soon as possible.
How far are we now?
We still have to get to the bottom of the mountain first. Probably
Let's go.
an hour or so to the bottom of the mountain from here. I hope."
with uncharacteristic intensity and borderline anger, while he's on the ground, I'm gonna put my foot on his chest and I'm gonna say, I need you to be very honest with me right now. Have you seen something like me before?
He kind of coughs up blood as you kind of do that. No. I've never seen anything like you. Why?
Insight the fuck out of
Go ahead.
this. 17.
He's pretty hurt. He's kind of just giving a gut reaction at the moment. He doesn't seem like he's trying to be deceitful, at least. Just like he doesn't almost understand your question.
Okay, fine.
Like that's a weird thing to ask.
I take my foot off his chest and I'll lean down and I'll cast Cure Wounds on him at first level.
Okay.
Oh, he's hot and he's cold.
Seriously, good cop, bad cop.
No, I can't.
Good,
Like
good Ziggy, bad Ziggy.
I put my foot on his chest and I'm like, have you seen something like me? And as soon as I'm like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, I just like pull off and I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. And I just
what's your wounds on that?
1d4 plus 5, so that'd be D8, because I'm actually touching something this time. A 6 plus 8, 14. Pretty good.
Okay, yeah, that's really good.
We'll step forward. Ziggy, calm down. We'll have time for questions, but we need to get out of here. And I'm gonna reach down and basically fireman carry. Right.
Okay.
And start
And as you kind of do, he just kind of looks at all of you guys, noticing Whirl now for the first time. Like, first of all, who the fuck is this? Before you guys even really answer, he just goes, "What the fuck was that thing that took my other man?"
Your guess is as good as ours. You're the ones who've been seeing these things come out of the Fae portal, no?
I saw the big fucking lizard. Never seen those birds before.
That explains why he doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So apparently the dinosaur not related to the birds. So that's new.
What?
But if we're gonna be moving, I'm gonna cast Pass Without a Trace on all of us.
Okay.
Yeah. Zaire's kind of wave to as Godric's over Connie's shoulder and he's just gonna be like
He's just like,
Listen, sorry for the flying creatures, but we needed our own assurances. I'm sure you could understand. Let's go.
and after a minute, he kind of like taps you, common. He's like, I'm good. And he starts to kind of like lead you guys down the mountain.
Put me down.
Downsies.
Downsies.
Yeah, he kind of just like starts to lead you down the mountain, just like as quickly as you can, while also trying to just like keep a low profile, sticking to the tree cover, like in case there's anything flying overhead. And eventually, you all kind of like make it to the bottom. And after a little bit of walking, sort of like around the base of the mountain, you kind of crest one of the small foothills of the mountain. And you see another small encampment of only like a couple of soldiers, with like a fire going and what look like almost like 20 horses that are just kind of like uh, some carts attached to them, things like that that are what's the word when they're like tied up there basically.
Hitched.
And Galdrick kind of like yells out as soon as they can see them. He just goes like, "Make ready the horses!" And they all kind of like spring into action, start like getting stuff together. One of them like moves one of the carts, kind of like kicks the cart out of the way, and like starts like mounting up one of the horses.
My eyes are looking east.
There doesn't seem to be anything in the skies at the moment, as far as you can tell. And in kind of a flurry, there's a number of horses that are kind of just like thrown together. Galdrick seems to be kind of like barking out orders at some of the guys that are there. And he seems to point out one of them, and he says, "Send for reinforcements." And so, that guy kind of like runs out and starts, whatever he's doing. And so there's kind of a flurry of everything before Galdrick kind of just like thrusts the reins into like each of your hands. And he kind of asks a couple of you like, "Can you all ride?"
I don't
Of
know
course.
if sat foot on a horse before. I usually don't. I usually fly.
So he just quickly like grabs one of the other horses that's mounted up with a cart attached to it, basically with like a wagon, and just like motions for you to get in. And anybody else is either
Would
taking
the horses be faster than him flying alongside them? Probably, right?
Yeah, they would for like a like extended travel time. Yeah, either that or you'd take a point of exhaustion at the end of it if you were gonna fly for that fast for that long.
He's too proud. He's not going to get in the cart.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get.
Is everybody else just like mounting up?
I
God.
don't. I've probably ridden. I don't know.
I'm trying to think about my.
I
think that
What are my thoughts on horses? I think right now I'm not in the mind space to ride a horse, so I'm gonna get in the cart.
Okay. It's more like a wagon. It's like made for people, not like cargo.
Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't give shit either way.
Yeah.
I'll make the assumption that the Feywild had horses.
At some sort of mount, at the very least.
Exactly. So I have some experience.
Okay.
May not be with this kind of horse, but yeah.
So Galdrick kind of just like mounts up on the horse. He seems to throw a bow and a quiver of arrows just like on the side of the saddle, sword on one side, and just basically like starts leading the very small kind of like caravan that you guys have now, with Zaire flying overhead. Whirl definitely just sits in the car. She's like, "I'm not fucking doing this." Like Whirl's just like posts up in the car, like puts her feet up, like she's chilling. And
So just
you all
me,
start
her, in the cart.
of,
It's just me, her, in the wagon.
yes, yeah.
Great.
And so you all
I'm
kind
like
of
having a mental breakdown, and she's just like chilling.
She like reaches into her pack, pulls out like a water skin with like a little bit of like wine in it that she stole, like one of the bottles that she stole from one of the places in Gelvita, and just like pops open one of the bottles, kind of like puts her feet up. Um, And yeah, so this you guys all kind of start like moving at a pretty rapid pace away from the mountain to sort of the northeast. Um, and as you're kind of doing all this, um, it's about it's a few hours of traveling to get kind of where you're going. If there's anything you need to deal with kind of on the during the travel time, that's up to you guys, or we can kind of jump to
I'd be keeping my eyes, I guess, southeast at this point.
yeah, east, south,
East,
southeast.
southeast, seeing if I see anything. Also trying to rack my walnut-sized brain to see if I've ever seen anything like these giant birds before. Or heard of people training crazy-sized beasts.
Make a
It's gonna be,
history check.
yeah, it's not gonna be great. Walnut brain, let's go. -3. Can I guide myself?
Sure.
Yeah. 12 -3 is 8 plus a d4. Oh no, it's 9. 12 -3 is 9.
Yeah, there you go.
Plus 3 is 12.
Um,
Hey, you did all that? Look at that. Look at
I
all that math.
know. I thought
You
really
know so
hard,
much.
guys. I thought
yeah, you're trying to like
Oh wow.
rack your brain as you've traveled around and things. And flying mounts like this, like you've heard history of like the dragons, I guess, is like people have talked about like riding dragons. But nothing like these birds that you've ever heard of, and no other like flying mount, as far as you can tell, has ever like existed around here.
I am so confused. Does
I am
I
Confucian.
I am Confucian. Why is Kansas and not Arkansas? America, explain. I turned to Whirl
Maeve.
and I'm just like, why am I so stupid?
One
And then
person
just
I
turn
have.
back, turn back to my hammer.
Maeve is while Ziggy is doing that, Maeve is trying to connect the dots as to the people on the bird and the dinosaur, and that the dinosaur had a bunch of armor on it. So it was almost as if the armor on the dinosaur mirrored the armor on the bird, or at least that like I don't know if I had eyes on the bird to see if it had armor,
You don't know if the bird
but
has or not, yeah.
I don't know if the bird had armor. Okay. But I was gonna do something similar to Ziggy and just think through if there's like any like if the armor looked familiar to anything that I've seen either in the Feywild or in stories that Kami had told me about the Sword Doom.
Um, yeah, make I guess it'd be another history check probably.
Okay.
Book lady, do book lady things.
Natural 20, just kidding. That's a it's history.
Mhm.
14.
You are like going back and you're like it's ringing a bell. It's like this is something. It wasn't like a regular kind of like hide armor. It wasn't natural to whatever this thing was. It clearly looked different, and you're trying to like pinpoint it, and then there's like an itch in the back of your mind that all of a sudden you kind of like hit, and it seems vaguely familiar to a much smaller version that some of the forces were wearing during the attack on the Senelise library by the
I
Oberian
know it was Unseelie. Oh, with Oberon.
by the
Okay, okay,
Oberian
okay.
Conclave, yeah. So not the Unseelie Court, the Oberian
Not the
Conclave.
Iberian Conclave. Okay, okay.
Looks vaguely kind of like again this sort of like beast army that he's created. It's this sort of strange alien but like also almost similar to like a hide leather armor that he seems to be like equipping his forces with.
Yep. Okay. I just note that down to myself
And
Wow.
as we're riding along.
Zaire, give
Well-
me a Constitution saving throw.
Who?
You, Zaire.
Does my point of exhaustion hit yet or not?
No. This is to see how you're faring with the travel.
16.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of like you kind of like started to climb up to the high. What?
15.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You passed still. You've kind of like taken up to almost like the sort of like the thermals up high, and you're now just kind of like gliding above the caravan. So you're
Okay.
kind of exposed, but traveling without much.
Like on the jet stream, kind of.
Yeah, basically, you're kind of like coasting along with them up high.
While he's coasting, he's gonna try to rack his brain of his like time spent or limited time spent with like the plane of air and like the kind of legends that he grew up hearing. If the large birds rings any bell in terms of like people commanding, them, or if he can kind of pinpoint if those creatures also share the same plane.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna say with that, history or religion probably for you.
They're both the same bonus, so
Okay.
we'll do religion. I just crit.
Wow.
That's
We
good.
are
Um,
low
Religion.
today.
So the Aarakocra are deeply tied to the air, to the plane of air, and you haven't necessarily spent a lot of time in it yourself. But there's the drawings in the temples of Arayu specifically, um, at the Crown's Peak Mountains, and you remember seeing sort of familiar drawings of the various like deeds and things of the Aarakocra, and one of the creatures almost kind of looks familiar now that you're thinking back on it. These giant sort of like bird creatures were maybe associated with the plane of air at some point, or else overlapped with the plane of air, but not from the terrestrial plane. It seems they either came from the plane of air or overlapped between the plane of air and another one. And it's something that the Aarakocra have at the very least like experienced, even if they don't have a deep knowledge of. But these are definitely at the very least from a different plane than the one that you're currently on.
Okay.
All right. So it's a few hours of hard riding. Galdrick seems to be like pushing you guys, moving quickly. And after a few hours, you kind of see on the horizon, as sort of dusk is starting to set in, you can see sort of jetting above the horizon is what looks to be sort of a tall tower, almost like a watchtower. Um, and as you sort of close the distance to it, you see there's a little bit more of like a larger building set up beneath it. Um, and Eventually you kind of like close in. You kind of hear like a bell ring as you guys all approach, and there's like a gate that kind of opens up that lets you into sort of the interior courtyard of this building with the tower kind of like up above. And you see more of what look to be Lepidian Company soldiers. Um, and as they kind of like enter in, Galdrick seems to kind of yell out to kind of whoever seems to be there listening. And he says, has the counselor arrived yet from the city? And you hear one of them kind of respond back and said, he hasn't arrived yet, but we've got word that he should be here shortly. And he kind of like curses under his breath. He says, all right. He said, these 5, kind of like second guessing himself as to how many of you there are now, um, have come to talk to him about apparently the portal. See to it that they're given one of the barracks, fed, and alert me and them as soon as the counselors arrived. And so he kind of like looks to you all and kind of gives you a nod. Like, is there anything you need before? Like, kind of like go. Like I'm saying, like go with them. They'll take care of you, type of thing. As he's trying to like go figure out what the hell's going on. And like kind of looks to you in case you guys have any like questions for him before he leaves.
Zair's breathing really heavily.
Yeah.
Like, I think he'll turn to like, I don't know, like Maeve or someone next to him and just be like, "Oh, it's been a while since I've flown that far. I'm out of shape."
And like this is like the exact like embodiment of that joke where it's like, "Ooh, just flew in from Mount Helionna, and boy are my arms tired."
Exactly. Maeve is going to turn back to you and say, "Well, let's go get you some rats. It's time for you to have a little bit of get your energy back."
Yeah, we'll speak to the man first.
And so a couple of the soldiers kind of like usher you into what is basically just like barracks. Like most of this building it's just an outpost. So they've got some supplies. They've got what looks to be like a watchtower up above, and then most of the building is kind of like barracks, and they've got like a small armory, and like stables for the horses. Like that's pretty much it. There's not like a lot here. It's kind of in the middle of. It's almost like a little bit of like a plains area here with like some hills, some trees kind of in the distance. And then if you were to go up into the tower, just so you guys kind of understand where you are, if you were to go up into the tower, you could kind of like see what's called the Stelk Rill, which is the river that kind of like runs south of Lopidium. Like if you were to look kind of like northeast from the tower, you could kind of like see the Stelk Rill in the distance.
Any chance we could get the map back up on Roll20?
Yes.
Oh,
I do.
yeah.
Like,
I forget.
Yes. That'd be
I
great.
can't. No, I lied. I can't do that.
So this is the Stelk Rill, this little river south of Lepidium. And so the outpost is like probably like somewhere around here.
got it. Okay.
And what would kind of be considered like the outskirts of the Lepidium sort of like boundary or jurisdiction, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And so like you guys are kind of like brought in, given kind of some nothing fancy, but just like some food. There's like again a small barracks. There's beds that are just kind of like in this room. There's like a table. It's not fancy accommodations by any means, but like it's a place for you guys to like hang out, rest, get some food, get some water, like take a minute to kind of gather yourself if you wanted to.
How do you feel about a little short rest?
I mean, I could, that works. Maybe a long rest too. But you know,
Well,
we're
what time of day?
trusting matters.
Yeah, you guys can take a short rest here if that's what you want. Go
I
ahead.
also like that you answered that in your Zaire voice, which inclines that Kami asks the group, "Let's take a short rest." Just like that.
That makes sense. Like you guys want to take a short rest?
Yeah, you want to take a short rest? I'll take a short rest. You want to take a short
Take a quick rest here?
Are we surrounded by a lot of people right now? Like, are we secluded? How private is our space?
Showed you into the barracks room, and they kind of like the doors open, and like there's some of them kind of out in the hallway, but they didn't like hang out in here with you. So like if you talk quietly, you could probably like not be heard, but it's not like they're not listening, but it's also like not a super secret space.
You were cutting in and out. Maybe I didn't hear what you were saying.
Okay, sorry, I'm whispering. I'm gonna just talk normally, but know that my character, I'm whispering. Maeve is whispering. Okay. I'm gonna turn to the group and say, this is connected. This is connected to this conclave called the Oberian Conclave, and this archfey who is looking to take over the Feywild. His name is Oberius. I know, Whirl, that you may be familiar with him. I know you mentioned his name before, but I recognized that the way that the beast had its armor and was very similar to what I've seen with his army. I know he's building an army of beasts, and there must be some reason why he's trying to get them over to Sethor Doom, but this is information. I don't know if we want to share it with the councilman, but Kami, it's important for all of us to know that this beast is not a one-off event. This is not a coincidence. This is something that's part of a larger plan that he's putting together.
Whose world?
Mrs. Beastwood, tell you.
Every fucking time.
I was waiting for her to like finally tell you.
I cannot believe.
Again,
What station
I bet
before
it was
we all
I
were?
I
think
know
it
that
was-
her name is not Delia Beechwood. Don't know what it is, but I know that's not her
She
name.
does still have the
Well,
bandages.
she said it's world 5 times, so I'm sure you can just deduce those.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't. Maybe if he wants to take control of the Feywild, what is he doing as Sasordo?
I guess he's hungry for power. He thinks he has no limits.
is that the
This
same?
can. Go ahead.
Is that the same conclave they talked about that attacked all those years ago in the Alder Forest?
It's exactly that one.
Oh,
But last time in the Alder Forest, they had the High Elves helping them over here on the other side. Do you think they have acolytes or people here on the other end? But I don't understand why.
I mean, we did see, or Ziggy saw, a version of him. Maybe that individual, is working. And while we were flying here, I kind of thought back on the beasts that were flying the creature away, and I don't think they're from this plane. I recognize similar drawings them at a temple back in Crown's Peak Mountains, and I think they're either from the plane of air or somewhere else. But I don't. They're not from this realm either. So it seems like there's multiple beasts that are coming, not
What
from
is-
this plane of existence.
It's so special about Sasordo. Why can't people just stay on their own plane? No offense, man.
Hmm.
I don't know. As someone who's been seeking to find the power of other planes and other realms of existence, I kind of am thinking that question myself.
Big MAGA energy coming from Kami there.
Big man.
Somehow
Everything was fine.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
was fine until people started crossing the border into the other plane.
Theo can't not play a bigot.
No,
Okay,
no,
always racist.
no,
So
no.
The
Canid
man
was
moved to Florida.
racist. Canid was
No,
hella
Canid-
racist.
Wait, who was racist before?
Canid.
Painted.
Before Canid, right? No, listen, Canid had good reason.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
His forest was being attacked and desecrated
Hashtag not all
for
humans.
Canid. For Canid.
Still racist.
Well, anyways. All I'm
Maybe
saying
like-
is things were fine when it was just me on the plane with eyes.
We know that they're crossing over. He's crossing over for power. He's crossing over for control.
May and Zaire, you probably know as well. The last time there was any sort of like involvement in Cessor Doom, at the very least, they were trying to essentially provide Oberius with like other like people or beasts for his like continuously growing army as well. So like they last time he was interested in Cessor Doom at the very least, it was for essentially people, for resources, for soldiers.
Yeah. He could be expanding his army, try to conquer every plane of existence and draw sources from every single one.
You know, I really hate to say this, but maybe the Satarian League is onto something.
I guess. My head hurts. Does thinking always hurt this much?
Yes,
I don't like it.
me neither.
I hope that other version of you also thinks just like you, Ziggy.
I don't know, man. I don't even know if I'm supposed to think like me. Who's supposed to think like what? Why are we here?
What a spiral! What a spiral!
Just imagining that Delia's just staring at Ziggy with like a death stare, like just
Well,
like
I've been
get your
I've
shit
been
Get
together,
doing this.
yourself
so
together.
I've literally
get it
been
together.
doing this spiral the entire. She had to listen to it
Entire
for
time, yeah.
however long.
While we're still chatting quietly, turn and just like I'm like thinking through, like I'm new to this plane and to these cities and to how power works in this plane, but I know that if Lepidium is trying to destabilize other cities, then you're right, Kami, that they don't know what they're up against. Because if they did, they would not isolate themselves. They would look for allies and they would work together.
It's an astute observation, mate.
Yes, but Maeve, you're overestimating these people. For many of them, power means control, and partnership isn't control.
After a little while of you all kind of having this conversation, you hear footsteps down the hall on the stone hallway outside, and one of them kind of walks in. Actually, Galdrick walks in, and he says, "The counselor should be here any minute. Come with me." And he just kind of like turns before he kind of sees if anybody follows and starts walking out.
Yeah, well,
He leads you kind of up through the courtyard, and sort of elevated above the courtyard. There's sort of like almost like a great hall, sort of, where normally there might be like gathering of some sort here, if they were hosting sort of people here at the outpost. It's not really huge, but it's enough for sort of people to gather in. He kind of leads you all in there, and then you're there for a few minutes before the doors at the hall at the end of the hall where you guys came through kind of open, and you see walking in a sort of like tall, older human with like well sort of properly like maintained, trimmed, very clean cut, like gray hair, a gray beard, and what looked to be kind of like scars across his face in various places. Sort of like a very grizzled, veteran-esque type of like human. Um, and he kind of walks in and surveys the group here. And he kind of speaks to you all. And as he speaks, he has a very low, sort of like very commanding kind of voice, commanding presence. And so as he kind of like takes a sweep across the group, and he says, "I'm Commander Labrie. You all were found out by the Fey portal. Is that right?"
Kami's gonna respond, and to those who know him and talk with him all the time, it's noticeable. To everyone else, it's not. But hearing the deep voice of Commander Labrie, he's gonna try and speak just a little bit lower. Yes, that's right. Your soldiers found us by
Ziggy audibly laughs.
I hope to know what it is that you all were looking for out there.
Can we see who goes lower?
Oh, blah, 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 blah.
It appears we were searching for someone.
I can't understand you, right?
Blah, blah.
The portals are free for anyone to explore. We weren't searching for anything in particular until we found your men and helped them stave off an attack. They told us you might be able to provide us with more answers as to where this attack may have come from.
I was briefly briefed. I was quickly briefed on the attack as well as the loss of the men. First of all, I'm very glad you all were fortunate to make it out of there, and I hope to get more information on exactly what that was. Unfortunately, this is not the first attack that we've seen out by the portal. It appears there's something else going on in the Feywild. Now, I hope you'll accept my apologies for interrupting whatever it is that you were looking for, but you must understand there are forces at work on both this and the other side of the portal, I believe. There are dangers, and I believe it is our responsibility to secure those against whatever might be attempting to come through from one side or the other.
Commander, I would hope in the tradition of soldiers who spilled and who have shared their spill of blood together. I wonder if you will do the courtesy of speaking honestly with us and telling us what brought you all the way from Lupidium to this portal on Mount Helionna. Did you know of its threat? Were you drawn to the threat?
He kind of takes a moment, collects his thoughts for a second, says, I can appreciate you speaking frankly with me on the subject. If you would, please allow me to converse with some of my men. Please allow me to converse with Galdrick, who was with you through that, and understand what's happening here. And perhaps we could reconvene in the morning. I know it's getting late at this point. I welcome you to rest here, and we can converse on what exactly is happening in the morning. Can we agree to that for now? I'll put you up here for the night. You're welcome to stay. It's secure. It's safe. I can promise you that here. And we'll talk more in the morning.
Certainly, we appreciate the hospitality.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. One quick question. Have you seen anything like me?
He kind of turns to you, kind of gives you a once over. On a farm once, similar, perhaps.
Damn it! And then I'm just gonna walk out of wherever I am. I'm just gonna be like, God.
He turns to
I
go.
apologize. He's had a rough, honestly, a rough 3 weeks. However long I've known him, he seems to be having a rough time. So,
You've known each other for 3 weeks.
that one, yes. Some of us, yes.
Me also 3 weeks.
I've done this Birdman for 3 weeks. My other partner here, we've traveled a little bit longer. But
A strange group. You and the Fey visitor here have traveled together.
Fey visitor, what do you mean?
Apologies. The elf, the Fey ancestry. I don't know. This one. He points at May.
Yes, I have been traveling with this elf, correct, yes.
He turns to Galdrick, and he says, see to it that they're put up in the officers' quarters for the evening. And Galdrick kind of gives him a strange look, but then just kind of nods. And as you're all kind of like led away by Galdrick, he leads you to a series of pretty as well dressed as a place like this would have. They're kind of officers' quarters, one for each of you. There's like a small writing desk in each of them. There is a little bit larger bed, a trunk kind of at the end of each of them for some of your things. There's like paper and a quill that's just kind of like sitting out on the desk, just like basically furnished for like an officer to be here and like whatever they might need to do to like write correspondence or go over like maps, things like that. Like there's space in each of these rooms for that. And yeah, you guys are all kind of like put up in your rooms for the night. Is there anything you guys want to kind of get to before taking a long rest?
Super fancy.
That's nice for outpost quarters.
Mm-hmm. Now I'll just I think I'll do some reading and bring out Loon from my cloak. Be like, you had a really long day too, buddy. Really long day. And I'll take off his armor and be like, okay, let him stretch.
Go ahead, Zaire.
I should say Zaire's gonna take the incense that he had bought back in Galita and just burn some of it as he's just kind of meditating and reading through his copy of the Book of the Long Death.
Okay.
And then he doesn't. He literally gets like half a page and then realizes how exhausted he is and just like falls asleep at the desk.
Fair.
Mhm.
May, as you're kind of like up late reading, kind of candles lit in the room, you hear a soft knock on the door.
Wake up. I go over and say hello. Hello?
He kind of like, you hear the counselor's voice. He says, it's Counselor Labrie. Do you have a moment to speak?
Yeah, sure. Come in.
So as you open the door, you see the counselor there, and he just kind of like steps inside the room before closing the door behind him. And as he kind of takes a minute, looks around the room for a second, you watch the sort of like grizzled veteran appearance sort of melt away, and you see the familiar face of Prince Cassian as whatever illusion that he had up like melts away, and you see kind of him standing there in similar clothing, but a little bit shorter than the counselor, and much younger in his face. And he kind of just like grabs you by the arms and like leads you over to like sit down. And he's kind of like he keeps a low tone of his voice, but like it's back to like his
Okay.
regular voice. He says, "May."
Cassian! What? I give him like the biggest hug.
He just like kind of wraps you up, holds you there for a second before kind of like again kind of taking your arms, kind of not like pushing you away, but like pushing you back to kind of like look at you, and like sits you down on the bed and like sits next to you. He's like, "What are you doing here?"
I could say the same to you. What are you doing here? I'm supposed to be finding you. You found me. That's not okay. I was supposed to find you.
I have been looking for you since I crossed over, and
You
I ended
didn't.
up getting dragged into this whole crazy thing in Lepidium. It's a long story. Are you okay? Who are you traveling with? Are these? I don't know who your traveling companions are.
They're my friends. They're some very interesting people, but they're here to help. They're here to help, and you would love Kami. Oh, you would love his fighting style. It's incredible to see. And then we have Zahir, and I don't really know where he's from yet, but he's pretty cool. And then Ziggy is trying to figure things out, but they don't matter right now. You matter, and I need to know why you didn't leave of your own free will. What you didn't just cross over.
I was captured by the Oberian Conclave, but I was able to outwit. I was able to deceive whatever it was that I could do. I tried to undermine him at all costs when I was stuck there with him. And eventually I managed to weasel my way out of the castle, and I had heard that you had been sent off the Feywild. And knowing your father and knowing all of the possibilities, I figured this must have been where you went. And so I've been out here tracking you, trying to track you down, trying to avoid being tracked down by the Conclave, and trying to keep a low profile while here on the terrestrial plane. And that's how I ended up here. I came traveling, and I ran into some of the Lepidian guard. This disguise that you see was one that I concocted, and I ended up convincing the governor of Lepidium that I was a veteran from out east who had considerable knowledge and experience to aid Lepidium with all of the tensions that are going on here in the west. And so I managed to be taken on as sort of a counselor, as an advisor to the governor. And I've been using that position to keep tabs on everything going on in the Feywild, to keep an eye out for you. I stationed guards at all of the surrounding Feywild portals, just in case you tried to make your way back, because I knew that you would, even though you shouldn't. You need to stay out of the Feywild right now, but I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, I managed to work my way into the governor's trust, and I've been hopefully using some of his resources to kind of keep tabs on all of this stuff that's going on. And that's when I ended up here. And unfortunately, I've kind of been stuck here. But I figured maybe it would help me find you still if I could keep tabs on the Feywild portals.
It was brilliant. It worked.
I can't believe it worked. I figured it was such a long shot, but I know you, and I know you'll do whatever you can to track down your friends and your family, and I figured that would send you back to the Feywild one way or another.
So what is Oberius planning? What do you know, and what can we do? Me and my new friends. What can we do?
Are you sure you trust them? All of them.
Cassian, no. I trust one of them. I trust one of them.
Rude.
Fuck
And
you.
there's one actually that you can never tell her who you are, not until we know whose side she's on. That's the fairy Delia.
The tea is piping hot today at the outpost, baby.
I didn't even hear her defend herself.
We can't trust her. I don't know whose side she's on.
There's a lot of that, unfortunately. But that's why I wanted to talk with you first. So which of the group are you confident in their trust, their loyalty?
He's really tall, the tall one with the big glaive.
The
Connie.
Tavora.
So, yes, the Tavora.
Okay, well that's good. I'm glad you have at least one that you can trust amongst them. But for now, what I've learned about the Conclave is he has gained some sort of interplanar access, and his army has grown significantly with these strange new beasts that he seems to be pulling in from I don't even know where. I was unfortunately not around either long enough, or was not smart enough or clever enough to devise exactly what he was doing, but he seems to be pulling them in from other planes of existence and building his army. And I was only shortly briefed on what happened back on the mountain, but it sounds like perhaps that was some sort of poke or prod at the terrestrial plane here to see if there were any defenses, what they may have been, and that's very concerning to me at least. But he is getting quite strong, and unless the courts can somehow work together, or at the very least stop working against each other, I don't know that they'll be able to stand against him. Not on their own, that's for sure. And I'm starting to realize the same about this plane. All these cities, all these individual sort of collectives, none of them trust each other. I was brought in by the governor because he's trying desperately to stave off the city of Gelida, which he thinks is just out for blood against Lepidium. and there's this coalition in the east that seems to be uh, uh, apparently a very big concern for the governor. Not to mention, there's, I guess, threats to the south, and he's worried about the Devoro in the north. He just sees himself surrounded on all sides by enemies, and so he's just, I don't know, he's panicking, and that's causing their own problems. But if we've got the Conclave now trying to force their way to the terrestrial plane, then these petty conflicts that they have here, they're going to have to find a way to put them aside, or else they're all going to get just run over. I'm sorry, I'm stressed out, and I don't know how to help them at the moment.
I take it all in, and I'm like, your mom is gonna be pissed when she finds out that you've been here.
Yeah, the thought of seeing her again. But again, I need to be able to convince her that this is a threat that requires cooperation. And I don't think she'll listen to me, not yet at least.
What can make her listen? What can make her listen, and why is Oberius coming here? Why is he coming to the terrestrial plane? Like, I've traveled around here just a few months looking for you, and I don't know why he would. I mean, resources, all of that, but to be trying to.
I think he's looking for me, for one. I believe his ego took a bit of a hit after I escaped. And on the other side of it, I think this is not the only plane that he's testing. I think this is one of many that he's poking and prodding and seeing what he can do. And I don't know what comes after that, but there's no way it's good.
Mm-mm. No, it's not.
Okay. Well,
You have to stay hidden.
I do.
You have to. Yeah.
I will talk with your group in the morning and give them the information that I'm comfortable giving them as the counselor. And I'm afraid we may have to go separate ways for now. I know we just found each other, but I don't think it's safe for us to be together yet.
What can I do? What should I do? I've been searching for you for months, and you were my goal, nothing else. What should I do now to help?
First of all, I need you to not go back to the Feywild. That seems to be where Oberius is strongest. That's where his forces are strongest. And if I understand it correctly, your father sent you away with something significant. If he was smart, that's what he should have done. You are strong and incredibly capable, and if there's anyone that he should have trusted with it, I know it was you. But for that reason, you can't let it go back to the Feywild. You have to keep it safe, and you have to keep it out of the reach of the Unseelie. You have to keep it out of the reach of Oberius. Just the knowledge alone would be catastrophic for I don't even know how many planes. And I think if you can, you need to better understand the situation here. Perhaps convince them all of the threats that exist out of their view. And I know that's tough because they seem so fixated on the threats that they perceive immediately in front of them that they can't see the larger threats. But perhaps we need to convince them all of exactly what those are. I don't know that we can solve all of the political tensions in this continent in the next however long we have, but I don't know. At least attempting to stop the infighting and the petty conflicts. I don't know. We need to find maybe some evidence, some proof of what's going on. anything that exists here on the terrestrial plane, evidence of the Oberian Conclave and what they hope to do, maybe that would be enough.
That I can do. The first two makes it sound like I need to run and hide. And maybe I will if I need to.
I know that you need to run and hide, but just be careful,
Hmm.
please.
I can. And my friend, he's pretty good at the politics of this plane of Thessor Doom. So if I do tell him a little bit more, I think he could perhaps help build some of these alliances that we need to see in order to take down Oberius.
Does he still have connections with the Tavoro?
No.
That's too bad. We
But I
could use
think,
an emissary of sorts.
but I know that with this information, he will want to protect his people and he will want to protect those that he loves. And so there could be something that could be done. We'll see. We'll see.
He kind of like takes a deep breath, gathers himself, and stands up. He just kind of looks at you, kind of like looks around. We're so close. It kills me that I have to send you away. And he leans down and he just kisses you and just kind of like holds you for a minute before he kind of takes a step back, and with sort of a wave of his hand, you see he kind of like grows taller, older, the scars kind of fill in on his face, and you can almost see a little bit of him underneath it now. It's a disguise, and it's a very good one, but you know him very well, and you can kind of see it in his eyes, that familiarity there that shows him kind of underneath it. And he kind of like lets go of your arms and kind of like turns and heads out the door. Kind of takes a look back at you before he closes the door behind him. And you kind of just hear his foot proceeding down the hall.
Fine.
Too many threads. Too many threads.
All the hot gossip, all the juicy.
Oh my god. May is just going to pace, I think, for most of the night and continue reading her father's book because it's of the utmost importance now.
Okay.
And then, and then she's going to, because this is all that he's all that she's been searching for months. Is that before she goes to sleep finally, or like into her meditative state, she's just gonna send him a message, like in sending, and just say, Cassian, just a reminder to always just stay safe, and if you need me, please do not hesitate to reach out. Love you.
There's a short pause, and you hear his voice come back. He says, if you ever need me, I'll cross the mountains to find you. But just know that I will find you again. You suck, Jake.
Love it.
Wait, so
I just like, oh my god, I could cry.
Hot in here.
And I fell asleep.
Okay. The next morning, you all are kind of like awoken with a knock on the door, and Galdrick and a few of the others are there, and they lead you back to the hall. And you all see the counselor there with a few of what look like some of the other officers, and he waves most of them out of the room. Galdrick seems to stick around, along with one other that you're not familiar with. And he speaks to you all in that same kind of low voice, not the one that May you heard last night. And Tommy, he seems to almost kind of be like directing it towards you, but like speaking to you all, but like very clearly like interacting with you as like the voice of, I guess, the group in a way. And he says, "So you asked me to fill you all in on what I know, and after getting the full story of last night and everything that's happened since, I want to fill you all in on what we know about a group called the Oberian Conclave. There is a power rising in the Feywild that seems to be challenging the courts, both Seelie and Unseelie equally, for power, control. There was an expedition into this plane many years ago. Not an expedition, I'm sorry. There was a small group on this plane many years ago that seemed to be working with Archfey Oberius. It was put down, and the portal was all but closed. But it seems since then, Oberius has taken to the Feywild, and he's been building an army, and he seems to have some sort of interest in this plane. He has found strange beasts of the ones that, like the ones that you all saw. We don't know where he's getting them from, but he seems to be collecting them, putting them together for some sort of army, or I don't know what he plans to do, but surely it won't end with the Feywild if he's beginning to attack the terrestrial plane as well. And here we have plenty of our own turmoil. The planes, for now, seem to be relatively stable under the guard of the Tavoro houses. The situation in the north is a bit sketchy. There seem to be a great deal of fear among the people in the north, from what I've understood. There's some new threat that's coming out of the east, something that people are referring to as the Primal Reckoning. I don't know exactly what that is, but it seems to be drawing people away from Criare and into this new being's sort of following. And some are living in fear of it, some have joined it, but it's causing tension, certainly, among many of the people there. And as I'm sure you all are aware, there's issues with Nevis in the south. The Lopedian government is trying its best to hold its own with the Satarian League in the east and Gelida to the west. And so with these tensions, the introduction of a even greater threat would just it seems like there's no shortage of sparks that could set off this tinderbox. And that is why I had people stationed at the portal to protect against the Archfey Oberius and whatever he might send through. Ziggy, give me an insight check there.
Hubba bubba. 13 plus 8, 21.
He's very convincing, and you're pretty sure he's telling mostly the truth. But you just get like this itch in the back of your head where it's like, that wasn't the only reason he was keeping eyes on the Feywild portal. You don't really know what it is. You're pretty sure he's telling the truth, but just like you're good at reading people, And he's like going almost a little bit too in depth into his explanation as to why he was guarding
He's
the
like
Feywild.
not lying. He's just very. It seems like he's omitting things, or he's like
A little bit, yeah.
okay.
He's giving a very lengthy explanation into why he was guarding the Feywild
So
portal,
that I don't.
essentially.
Okay, yeah.
That's all. You just kind of like clock it, at the very least.
Commander, what I
Counselor.
still, Counselor, what I still don't understand is how did you become made aware of these threats and know to guard the portals in the first place? How did Lupidium get insight into this information before other major entities in Thordu?
That is a fair question. We have experienced some of these beasts, these strange new creatures, and working backwards managed to track at least some of them coming through the portal at the mountain. I'm afraid some of them may have come from other portals, though I haven't been able to verify that myself yet.
Do I believe that? If
Um,
I'm already clocking like and like paying
yeah,
attention to how he's answering things now.
Again, it's a similar sort of like he's being honest, but maybe leaving out a little bit of information. Which isn't the strangest thing in the world for somebody in his position
That's
to not be
fair.
telling you guys everything.
No, that's fair.
But yeah.
Counselor, what in guarding the portals you seek to protect just Lupidium from these threats?
We'll protect who we can. Obviously, Lupidium and our guard is what we can provide. If we can manage to work with any of the other entities here in Sordum, then we could, warn them. But unfortunately, given the current circumstances, it seems any warning we try and give would not be taken in the spirit that I at least would intend it.
Well, Counselor, it may be a little difficult, but outreach and find partners to cities you're actively trying to sabotage.
What do you mean?
You know exactly what I mean.
I'm afraid I don't.
We have it on good authority to understand that Lupidium was responsible for the food shortage in Galida.
I wasn't even aware of a food shortage. You believe that there was essentially an attack on Galita by the city of Lepidium.
Attack is a dangerous word, Counselor. We believe there was an effort made on the part of Lupidium to destabilize what the city of Lupidium saw as an adversary.
He kind of like
It-
reacts to that, and he just like under his breath almost, you hear, that idiot. And he kind of gathered himself again after kind of like that small outburst or reaction. He says, the governor is I will say, overly cautious man. And it is possible he attempted to take, oh, God damn it, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, before take steps like preemptive, thank you.
Preemptive.
Attempted to take some preemptive action against the city of Galita. I can assure you if this was in fact from Lepidium, it was not my advice. And it's something that
Can I-
perhaps you would bring up with the governor.
Can I insight check that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Not that I have good insight, but I feel like this would be something County would want to try and get some clarity on. Yeah, that's a 5, baby.
Oh no.
You're generally distrustful of people in power, especially given the current situation of things. So you're just like, you don't really trust them still. You're like, this guy's just like a shady politician, like all the others. You don't
Well,
want him.
well, counselor, my blood is Savoro. To me, the utmost. Can't talk tonight. To me, it is of the utmost importance that the safety and security of this continent remain paramount. But here, this information has not left this group. Your leader is none the wiser of your failed efforts to destabilize the city. But it does make me skeptical of this plan you have set in motion to protect the continent of Sordum from extraplanar foes in spite of every other sovereign entity's best efforts to undermine you. It's hard to play the hero when, with the other hand, you play the villain.
That is exactly the reaction I'm expecting from places like Gelida, Nevis, those that we would need if we were to combat this threat. And so I need to find evidence, or there needs to be a threat that they see as worthy of our cooperation rather than just one of us trying to outflank the other.
I would go back to get the head of the monster we fought, but Maeve here made it explode. So maybe
I told you she's explosive.
He kind of gives like a nod of like, he kind of like looks at you, May, for a second, and you kind of see like nice, like well done. um and he says
Hot chick bad.
My chick good. My chick do chick.
Don't sing it, don't sing it, don't sing it, don't sing it, don't sing it. I keep doing that. I gotta stop doing that. Don't sing it, don't sing it. One line, that's all I get.
It's gonna be stuck in my head. Oh my gosh.
If the Tavoro were to recognize this threat, what would it take? How could we convince them that this requires their attention, their assistance? They're a mighty group of warriors that have protected this realm for centuries from whatever lies behind the Firefall Mountains. And now a new threat emerges, and they may have to shift their attention. How can we convince them of that?
The Totoro, at their core, we are a pragmatic people. Perhaps proof may be just what we need to convince them that it is time to double their efforts to safeguard this realm. Now, the challenge therein lies from having the other entities on Sordun recognize the authority of the Toguro. Times have changed. There hasn't been a need for Toguro intervention in centuries, aside from petty trade disputes and minor incursions. This will put the strength of the Toguro and the strength of its force of will on Marissa Sordun to the test.
So we need to find something to convince them.
What we need is the thing. The Toguro see themselves as peacekeepers. Their job is to maintain the peace Their job is not to litigate it.
It seems like we could only count on them as a reactionary force.
That's traditionally been the way. Yes.
Well, I suppose there's some comfort in knowing if it does get truly bad enough, then we can count on them. But that won't help us in the interim, it seems. And so perhaps we have to start off with the others, those that we can reach, convince. I'm considering sending representatives to Nevis, and I have intelligence that suggests there's some research going on in Galita that may help us.
What do you mean?
There's some research into interplanar travel and activities at the academy, supposedly. There was an accident that occurred there, and it seems they're looking into what may have caused it, and one of the individuals who was conducting the research there. And perhaps if we can convince them that whatever it is that they're finding over there is important to the security of Sordum and overall, perhaps they would share it. And I don't know, perhaps we can work together to find some answers on that.
I think you a little too hopeful of their willingness to cooperate. I think most of the people there just hold up in their ivory towers.
I have heard of that sort of mentality among them there. But if we can, again, if we can convince them that it's necessary, that there's a threat, that there's, I don't know.
I do think there's still people out there diligently looking into traversing the plains, if you suggest that. So all might not be lost.
I know your own people have some experience in that capacity with the plane of air, as I understand it. Representatives, so to speak, here on the terrestrial plane.
Yes.
I do wonder if perhaps we can't find others that may be able to provide some insight. I think there's the Aarakocra, which are to the east. There is the Ember Dwarves, which may be inaccessible too far to the north and northwest. But there's also the Tritons, and perhaps just to the west, not too far north of Galita, I've heard they maintain a presence. And if we're looking for answers on planes, and perhaps they've had their own experiences. I know the Aarakocra, they had some, uh, they had some role to play, and I believe the Alder expedition and with the Oberia, the some what was it, the cleansing that they tried to accomplish up north out there.
Yes.
And if the threat is big enough, and if perhaps they've had some experience with it themselves, maybe they could be of some use. I don't know.
My ancestors heard the call once. It's a great loss, but I feel like they potentially would be open to it again. It is spoken about with pride.
Have you heard anything from them on if they've experienced any of the likes of Oberius or the threats that we claim to be facing?
No. He kind of like stammers and like doesn't elaborate.
He doesn't push further, but he and he kind of thinks to himself and he says, Nevis may be an ally in this. I know they've had some troubles of their own lately, but again, if we can convince them to forego their isolationism and help us, I don't know. I don't know where to start. But I know we're going to need cooperation. We're going to need allies in this fight. I have to convince the governor on my own, but that's my task. Unfortunately, I don't think Tu-Fei, Tovaro, and Eric Hawker from the East, and no offense, but whatever the hell you are going to be welcome in Lepidium, and a Lepidium that is so weary of outsiders right now. I'm saying weary, what I mean. That is so wary of outsiders right now. The governor is a paranoid, if not overprotective individual, and I'm afraid you all would not necessarily be welcome, and he would certainly not listen to anything you have to say. So Lepidium is going to fall to me, but perhaps you all can be useful elsewhere. If you'd like to take some time and discuss with one another, I welcome you to do so, but I wanted to share with you the threat that we're currently facing, and I will also look into what may or may not have happened in Gelida at the hands of Lepidium, because now is not the time.
Glad to hear you say that.
He kind of gives you all a quick nod, looks around, and kind of lingers on May for a minute before turning and walking out with the rest of the company that was with him.
Do I clock that?
Give me a perception check.
Yeah. The whole time May was like,
what's your passive perception?
Passive perception? Passive perception's 18.
and before
Pick it up.
before we
I pick it up.
before you walked out too, like we didn't respond when you said that, but I think May, I didn't realize you were gonna walk out. May steps forward, and it's something that she does not do like public speaking or anything. But when you say like, is there anything that we can do, Maeve will step forward, look to the group, and say, we will do everything that we can.
Kind of gives the nod, kind of lingers on you for a second, and then takes the rest of the guards with him as he leaves the hall. So I'm gonna say I don't want to necessarily talk about what the next steps for the group are going to be without Bailey.
I was actually going to say the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say for the sake of making sure Bailey's in on whatever the next steps are for the group, we can go ahead and stop it there tonight. But you all can talk outside of game, and we can fill her in whenever she's kind of feeling better. And you guys can even talk out of game about kind of what you want to do and stuff, and then we can go from there.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
I think we're off for a few weeks, though, right?
We are indeed.
Yeah.
We are off for a few weeks. That was such a good session.
Are we playing on the 4th? No.
Yes. I think that was the next time.
I think
the 4th.
I think the 4th, and then we're off for like another week or two after that.
You guys are lucky that I'm giving you the 4th.
Yeah. So yeah,
June 4th is our next.
Yeah. We have a 2-week break.
2-week break. Yep.
All right.
So we got some time to figure
June
out.
June 4th, and then maybe June 18th after that. We'll play it by ear, but definitely the 4th.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for Jake and Bailey at that point.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, should we end the stream quick?
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, homies. Thanks for joining.